Top of the hour to you. It's Friday, the 27th of September, 2024. Across Ghana's 16 regions, on Joy News on TV, and across the world on myjoyonline.com, you're listening to me, Sweetie Abochi, ushering you to the start of the Friday edition of the AM show. Now, this morning, like we usually do, we'll start with the AM news, bringing you the latest chronicles of events happening in and around the country. And then we get into our news review segment. Philemon La is NDC communication team member, and Dr. Akwatia, also from the NPP communications team. They're joining us to review the news stories captured in the newspapers. And then we'll bring you Blunt's AM Sports. Today being a Friday, we'll serve you Prime Take. And then, of course, Benjamin Akakpo come your way with his blunt thoughts. And he's captioned it, "The Galamsey State called Ghana, the wanton rape of nature and the consequences for us all." You want to stay tuned for that. It's an interesting topic, and I can't wait to see where it takes us today. And then we get into our big stories. We'll start from our constituency lens, where we'll take you to Akwatia South. NPP and NDC candidates are intensifying their campaign ahead of the December 7 polls. And my colleague Carlos Caloni has been to the constituency, engaging with some of the residents. We'll bring you that package. Also, we'll take a look at the Akosombo Dam spillage a year on. Adobia, come down. And we'll tell you the story about how some lives who've been displaced and how they're faring a year on at the Akosombo area. And then we'll do some stories on UMAT's Robotics team. We have a conversation with UMAT's Robotics team, who are making significant strides in their endeavors. These and other conversations coming your way this morning on the AM show. You want to stay with us for that. Let's start now with the AM news. Let's get into the details of the AM news, starting with the Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana have temporarily suspended its nationwide strike, granting the government a 2-week window to resolve their grievances. The industrial action commenced yesterday, September 26th, and there's more in this report.
The Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana has called off its nationwide strike, giving the government a 2-week ultimatum to settle their demands, which include unpaid salary arrears, provision of adequate personal protective equipment (PPEs), bonuses promised during the COVID-19 pandemic, and financial clearance for new staff. Speaking to the media, General Secretary Richard Kofi Jordan explained that suspending the strike was necessary to mitigate the negative impact on the public, especially bereaved families. He stressed the need for the government to act swiftly, warning that failure to meet their demands could lead to renewed industrial action.
We are not here to litigate. We are putting the strike in abeyance out of respect for Ghanaians. We have seen pressure everywhere. Right. We are giving government 2 weeks. We are giving government 2 weeks. We are giving an employer 2 weeks. Today is 26 or so. Next week is not, the following week, which is on the 9th. Right. On the 9th of October, if government does not resolve all the matters before them, I'm sorry, on the 10th, we will trigger this strike again.
During the peak of the strike, many bereaved families were stranded, unable to access mortuary services or pay for the release of bodies for funerals scheduled for the weekend. Several affected families called on the government to urgently resolve the situation.
But it's very bad. These people, when it comes to these places, they are very important. As we know, when someone dies and the family is not ready to bury, it has to be kept somewhere. But when they are not treated well and it comes this way, it affects the whole country.
I didn't know about the strike. There was no one there to remove the body for us. Now I'm going home empty-handed.
We beg the government to listen to what they are saying so that we can also be at peace. Because the death of a person is frustrating, and this whole thing is also very frustrating.
Now, Oliver Baka-Vomawo and 12 other Stop Galamsey protesters whose cases were outstanding will spend the next 2 weeks in police custody after an Accra Circuit Court denied their application for bail. Lawyers of the protesters had made spirited arguments before the court, but failed to convince the Circuit Court judge who remanded the protesters into police custody. This latest development is coming on the back of influential persons and civil society organizations, including former President John Dramani Mahama and his running mate, mounting pressure on the government to immediately terminate the prosecution of the protesters who were arrested for alleged offenses. So what happened in court? Our man, Kenneth Jesse, has more.
Today, lead convener of Democracy Hub, Oliver Baka-Vomawo, alongside other demonstrators of the Stop Galamsey Now, have been remanded into police custody for 2 weeks. Now, Oliver could not turn up in court yesterday because, according to his lawyers and the Ghana Police Service, he had fallen ill and was in the care of the police hospital. But a limping Oliver appeared in court today in a nose mask, ready to face judgment. At the end of the day, the judge revealed that Oliver and others should be remanded into police custody until at least the 8th of October. Private legal practitioner Martin Pegbu expressed his dissatisfaction with the verdict.
What I witnessed in court, there was no need for a remand. I'm very, very confident of what I saw. Oh no, there's usually judges who make orders for bail and ask that the Ghana card or passport, etc. So number one, the Ghana card details of the accused be furnished to the registrar. Then number two, a passport order. That is to say the passport is seized. And then things about the police go to verify. So remember that before somebody is released from custody after the bail, the police go with the person to verify the abode and the sureties. Yes.
Some of the families and friends of those who are being remanded expressed their dissatisfaction with the verdict.
We have been sitting on a ticking time bomb. Ghana is a ticking time bomb. It's just a matter of time before Ghana is destroyed. It's falling down before our eyes. You and I, we know it. Every day, any year, unless we stand up, any year, Ghana is falling. And it's up to you and I to get up and make our minds. And I speak to the person on the street, the person in the markets, voting just because they are voting. You don't even know the policies. You ask somebody, you say, as for me, I'm as for me, I'm. Find out, know what they are come to do for us. What do they have for us? They don't think about us. They don't want to share their spoils and go.
I do not agree. There are videos online even showing his arrest, videos that have him, like his hands put up, videos that show that he wasn't resisting, videos that show that he wasn't doing anything unlawful, videos that show that they were just standing elsewhere and then and then the police came to just take them away. I mean, it is not illegal to protest. It is not unlawful to speak for your right, to fight for the environment you are living in. We don't expect anyone else to come and do that fight for us.
From the Accra Circuit Court, Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
Still on the matter, human rights group Amnesty International has expressed grave concerns over the arrest of Stop Galamsey Now protesters by the Ghana Police Service. According to them, reports of the protesters being denied food and legal representation amounts to an infringement of their rights. It also announced plans to form a protest observation unit to demand that the rights of demonstrators be respected under the law.
Over 30 Stop Galamsey protesters were remanded into police and prison custodies following a 3-day protest last week. The Ghana Police Service has accused the demonstrators of blocking roads, dismantling police barriers and obstructing traffic during their demonstration at the 37 roundabout in Accra. The protesters, however, have been unhappy with the police handling of the situation. Amnesty International has condemned the arrest of the protesters and is demanding a review of the Public Order Act, which they argue excessively empowers the police against demonstrators. Genevieve Partington is the country director for Amnesty International.
All around the world, the right to protest is under attack, and that is why Amnesty International launched its campaign, Protect the Protest, to engage with security forces and protesters alike on the right to protest. Several Ghanaians took to the streets on 22nd and 23rd September to demand the government to do something about the crucial issue of Galamsey illegal mining, which is currently dirtying our water bodies and causing serious health issues in several communities. That is why Amnesty International Ghana has come out to condemn the current unlawful actions by the Ghana police regarding the detained protesters of the Stop Galamsey Now and the Reoccupy Julobi House demonstration. Both protesters and non-protesters are being held in several police stations across the country without access to basic human rights as we speak. What was their crime? To call the government of Ghana to take immediate action against illegal mining that has destroyed our water bodies and caused alarming health-related problems in several communities. The Public Order Act 1994 repealed this abuse of human rights, and it came into action, and it served as a purpose for people to inform the police if they want to do a demonstration. However, there are clear issues in the act, and it gives the security forces, especially the police, too much power over potential demonstrators. The act should be amended to give a reasonable timeline that the police can apply to court to restrain persons intending to demonstrate. We are requesting that the Ghana police provide a list of all detained protesters and where they are stationed, so we can be granted access to them so they receive the necessary care and basic human rights.
It is the hope of Amnesty International that the police will act and ensure the rights of the protesters are respected. For Joy News, Helen Nakai Ai's report read to you.
In other stories, the board of the Electricity Company of Ghana has rejected calls for its dissolution following the resignation of Managing Director Samuel Dubik Mahama. Some energy sector CSOs have urged the government to dissolve the board to drive positive change at the company, with Na Amwesi IV, Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, leading the charge. Now, despite these calls, the board swiftly appointed David Boedi Asamoah as the Deputy Director of Customer Service as acting managing director, effective immediately within 24 hours of Mahama's resignation. My colleague James Aveji was at a news conference and reports.
Barely 24 hours after Samuel Dubik Mahama tendered in his resignation as Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, the board has already appointed Director in charge of Customer Service, David Asamoah, to act as the new Managing Director for the company. Now, this decision was arrived at after a long meeting between board members. Listen to Chairman of the board, Alexander Penyomakin, on what they make out of the resignation of the former MD and the confirmation of a new acting managing director of the company.
We received the news of our MD's resignation, and we met this afternoon at an emergency meeting. The board accepted the resignation of the managing director, and Mr. David Asamoah has been nominated to act as a managing director, pending decisions of the sole shareholder of the company, which is the government, and we're going to have the necessary engagement with the sole shareholder.
Alexander Penyomakin has also been responding to calls for the dissolution of the entire board of the Electricity Company of Ghana.
There's a new board, and in fact, this is our second meeting. Or let me say, essentially, this is the first meeting of the board. This emergency meeting was the first meeting of the board. When we were sworn in, it was a familiarization. All right, this is the first meeting of the board. So I think that that's a misplaced position taken by him.
He's also been given some assurance on plans to make the operations of the company more profitable moving forward?
A lot of things are being done. Wouldn't want to be talking about them now, but be assured that there is this determination aimed at ensuring that support systems are in place to make ECG continuously an efficient state entity.
Mr. David Asamoah, for the time being, will be acting as Managing Director pending substantive approval from the appointing authority, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as a substantive next Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana. From the Electro Volta House here in Accra, my name is James Aveji, reporting for Joy News.
Moving on, victims of the inferno, which destroyed about 500 structures at Tema Community 12, say they have been pushed to the lowest points of their lives. For them, the last few days have been their darkest moment, with no option but to give a second shot at life after losing what they have toiled for. Speaking to Joy News, they revealed how difficult it is to sleep at night when they cast their minds back to the fire. The victims are asking for support, and correspondent Kwame Yanka tells us more.
As promised by Member of Parliament for Tema Central, Ninoy Hansen Norte, and NDC's parliamentary hopeful, Ebi Bright, temporal measures are being put in place, including where victims who lay their heads, makeshift washrooms, potable water, among other necessities. Victims of last Wednesday's fire may be grateful for the interim measures, but do admit the incident has derailed their already difficult lives. From different parts of the country, the squatter community of Chobodom at Tema Community 12 remains a safe haven, with about 2,000 individuals making ends meet in mostly wooden structures. Here is Ken Asamoah, who moved from Adeso in the eastern region to Tema. I'm experiencing sleepless nights. I sell coconuts and haven't been to work since last week. We need help to restart life. I can't imagine myself going through what is happening at the moment. Charlotte Kofi is a mother from Anochi in the western region, and taking care of the children at this point has been nothing short of difficult.
You're dying to me because when you're baby,
we can barely sleep at night. I was running a convenience shop, but my family has lost it all, including our capital. Apart from brooding over our loss, I think we are too many to manage the space available to us at night. Life is really hard at this point for my husband, children, and I. So please help us. For the Najaman who came to Tema from Kumasi, the fire incident has been life-altering, to say the least.
I left
Kumasi in the Ashanti region in search of a better life and found myself here. It's quite unfortunate that things have gone south. I lost everything through the fire. Some of us have to put up with friends, and this is not something we had anticipated. I'm with a company that produces sachet and bottled water, and haven't been to work since last week. NDC's Tema Central candidate, Ebi Bright, called for innovative approach to dealing with such issues.
For me, one of the major problems is the lack of decentralization, where our industries and economic activities are concerned. But in terms of this being essentially about Tema, I won't shy away from the fact that just by default, we should see more of the influx of people like this, because this is the industrial township. This is the pulse of the nation's economy, where unique constituency with the not only proximity to the ports, or ownership to part of the ports, but also the heavy and the light industrial area here. So if you're talking about artisans and you're talking about workers, you're talking about businesses, manufacturing, this is the epicenter of all of that as far as Ghana is concerned. So if anybody in the urban areas are seeing an influx of young people predominantly looking for survivor, Tema Central, of course, will be at the center of it. So it behoves on us to find innovative solutions to manage the situation.
It's time for supper and the camps of NPP's parliamentary hopeful, Charles Forson, and that of NDC's Ebi Bright in pickup trucks with food make their way to locations including Assemblies of God and Maradu to feed victims. This has been Kwame Yanka for Joy News.
Let's do some other stories. And the CEO of the Ghana Hydrological Authority, John Kissy, has led a joint team of board members and auditors on a tour of the Western and Central regions to assess ongoing coastal protection efforts. During their visit to Duakor, the team observed the proximity of the sea to the main road, raising concerns about potential coastal erosion and its impact on local infrastructure. Mr. Kissy highlighted the construction of 2 breakwaters and ongoing coastal protection works aimed at safeguarding the Cape Coast Castle from the effects of erosion. There's more in this report.
One of the key challenges the joint team of board members and auditors of the Ghana Hydrological Authority identified during the tour was the maintenance of coastal protection assets, with sun-winning activities posing a major threat to their longevity. CEO of the authority, John Kissy, noted that the authority plans to establish a facility development committee to oversee the management and generate income to maintain the provided infrastructure.
They moved to Elmina project site, which is our 98% complete. Then we saw around Duakor in Cape Coast, where the sea is so close to the road. It's something that the Ministry of Works and Housing is very much aware of, and effort that we are making to make sure that we undertake a project to address that challenge. From there, we've moved to Cape Coast Coastal Protection work site. Cape Coast here, we have 2 set of breakwater that we have constructed. We have also constructed work to protect the Cape Coast Castle. You would have seen if you coming around the castle, you'll see the coastal protection works around the castle to protect it. And the breakwater that we've constructed here, similar to Commander, is to help boost the local economy to support the fishing activities in this community. So here we have the last arm of the breakwater that you can see under construction. And we are looking forward to Cape Coast Coastal Protection Works Phase 2, to protect the Accra-Takoradi Highway, as we saw, and then also areas around Brofie-Edro, Ekwan, as well as the Ola areas. So those are works that we are hoping to start very soon.
Board chairman of the Ghana Hydrological Authority, Kwesi Enim, charged Ghanaians to help put an end to the illegal mining plaguing the country.
You know what Galamsey is doing to our country. So we are in the thick of it, and it's sad, but Ghanaians are the only people that can stop it. Ghanaians are the only people that can stop Galamsey. God will not come from heaven. Muhammad will not come from heaven. No. Employment alone, talking about employment, the fishing sector employs close to 10% of the population of the country, direct and indirect. So you can imagine the economic benefits. But we could do better. I want to see us as a country develop this place. When we do the breakwater, we should derive benefits. We should derive benefits. We should derive benefits.
The authority says the initiative underscores its commitment to protecting coastal communities and historical landmarks from increasing threat of sea erosion.
The Ghana Health Service has called for a stronger focus on promoting healthy nutrition and access to healthcare for adolescents in schools. According to the service, it was time the Ghana Education Service took a central role in ensuring that schools do not become grounds for the development of non-communicable diseases. Speaking at an event on the School-Friendly Nutrition Initiative, Acting Central Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Agnes Achama Anani, emphasized the importance of creating an environment where school children can access only nutritious meals. There's more in this report.
Acting Central Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Agnes Achama Anani, stressed the need for parents to provide healthy meals for their children, questioning the practice of school authorities allowing food vendors to sell unhealthy snacks on school campuses.
Currently, if you just scout around, you can see that we have a lot of children that are overweight or obese, and some of these things generate from the schools. It's very important that we let stakeholders know that these children, when they develop overweight and also become obese, it puts them at risk of developing non-communicable disease when they grow into adulthood. Currently, we see a lot of fast food around, and also there are so many challenges. If you tell a child to take a healthy diet, it means that the burden is on the parents, the burden is on the teachers. Therefore, we need these people to understand the need of providing healthy food for their children. Yes, we have nutrition being part of the curriculum in the schools, but then it's about the implementation. What do we even allow food vendors to sell on campus? You go to some schools, you see a lot of toffees, drinks, and the rest. And even as parents, what do we give to our kids to school for snack? It's very important that we look into these things so that at least we can prevent childhood obesity, which puts them at risk of developing non-communicable disease when they grow old.
Central Regional Nutrition Officer Rahel Efe Asabu-Mensah called for a nutrition-friendly environment, discouraging the eating of food high in sugar, sodium, and other saturated fats by children.
We should also, as parents, help our children with fruits and vegetables as snacks to school, and also healthy meals for our children to take to school, so that what a child A brings, what child B brings, would influence what child C would also tell their mother to bring. Other than that, if we all bring, most of the children bring unhealthy meals, that is where the children feel it is the thing of the day, and they start craving for it. But parents also have a stake in this, providing the children with healthy meals. Then vendors in the school authority, from their nutrition policy, should state clearly that the school would entertain vendors who have healthy meals, that is snacks and food, healthy food for them. By healthy, I mean foods that are high in that are high in fiber, not so processed, less processed foods and fruits and vegetables specifically for our school children, and less of these sugar-colored drinks, less of these high refined flour products, foods for our children.
The Ghana Health Service called for concerted effort from both parents and education authorities to ensure a healthier future for students.
Pebi Cubs has launched the 5th edition of the Inter-School Reading Quiz in Accra. Joy Prime's Justine Amenyaji was at the launch and has more in this report.
In today's fast-paced world, many young people are losing interest in reading as they struggle against the instant gratification of gaming, movies, and social media. The 2023 data from the National Literacy Trust highlights this decline, reporting the lowest level of kids enjoying reading since 2005. In response, Pebi Cubs, a library service focused on fostering a reading culture among children, has launched the Inter-School Reading Quiz, a friendly competition for kids aged 6 to 14, aimed at making reading a more integral part of their lives. The reigning champions, Grace, Gloria, and Araba from Thoreau School, say the journey was transformational.
We're able to read books and actually recall what we've read. If you've not registered for Pebi Cubs, register now, because if you register, your students or your children will be so excited and they'll be brave now, just like me.
The 5th edition of the Inter-School Reading Quiz was launched on Wednesday, 25th September 2024 in Accra. Head of Marketing for Pebi Cubs, Veronica Ufosuhima Owusu Ansa says, reading is the best way to shape the minds of the young people.
Okay, so I believe that readers are leaders. Just imagine having a country or a generation of readers. You are looking at promoting literacy, critical thinking, students or learners who will be more confident, like confidence building, and a host of others. And so the inter-school reading quiz has actually come to stay.
She also explained how one can take part in the inter-school reading quiz.
And so once you go to www.pebicaps.com/quiz, you sign on, you have the ability or you have the room to read all range of books. I mean, any genre of book there you can read. And once you score a point, you are likely to fall or get into the competition as in the ISRQ that we are currently we've currently launched, basically, yeah.
This year's edition will include persons with disability. Head of Demonstration School for the Deaf, Sutumte Ametewi, expressed delight in the new edition of persons with disability into inter-school reading quiz.
And so for us, we are thinking that it would be a very good platform to enroll our children on. And I think that having come here and seeing what the children were doing today would be a great platform for children with disability, especially children with hearing impairment.
The 5th edition of the inter-school reading quiz by Pebicaps aims to reignite a love for reading among young students. Justine Amenyeji's report read to you.
And this is the business update segment on the AM News. In our first story, the Bank of Ghana has rolled out a new method for calculating foreign exchange rates. The move, the regulator argues, is in line with best international practice and ensures that it meets international practice. There is more in this report.
According to the Bank of Ghana, this is to ensure that more data is brought on board, as well as coverage when it comes to forex rates quoted by the commercial banks. It will also ensure that the rates reflect daily transactions executed between the commercial banks and their clients. This change, the Bank of Ghana argues that is a long-term strategy to align its foreign exchange market reference rate with that of international standards. The central bank, in its circular to the financial market players, announced the reference rate will be published every day on the Bank of Ghana website and will be computed from the data submitted by all the commercial banks. It also went ahead to explain that the commercial banks will also submit data all spot US dollar rate and Ghana cedi transactions concluded before 3:30 p.m. It will broaden the scope for calculating these foreign exchange rates to ensure that all spot transactions on the interbank market, as well as transactions with their clients that have nominal values of $10,000 or more, mutually reflective of prevailing market conditions. Officials of the Bank of Ghana have told Joy Business that the new model will also ensure that the rates quoted by the Bank of Ghana reflect market conditions.
Now, banks say they expect dollar demand to pick up strongly in the coming days, a development that could put new pressure on the cedi. This is due to the fact that more businesses are moving to restock for the Christmas festivities. George Wiafe has the rest of the story.
Data from some of the commercial banks showed that demand has picked up strongly over the past week. This is coming from businesses in the manufacturing sector, energy and services. Some of the commercial banks say the requests that has come in so far are for payment obligations that are due by the end of this year. Some of these firms are also looking for dollars to pay items that they've purchased on credit for the Christmas festivities. Concerns about demand picking up is coming at a time that the Ghana cedi has remained fairly stable against the US dollar for some time now. This is due to the fact that there has been improved dollar support coming from the Bank of Ghana, and the dollar not being that strong on the international market, losing some value. But will this development result in some significant depreciation of the cedi in the coming weeks as we approach December? Well, for some of these commercial banks, they don't think so, at least for now. They feel that the expected positive news coming from the Eurobond debt restructuring and even the third IMF program review could deal with this expected threat to the local currency. Again, the Bank of Ghana has promised that it will step up dollar support as we approach December to deal with the demand pressures.
And it's a wrap for the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. Of course, the conversations begin now, starting with the news review. Philemon Lau of the NDC communications team and Dr. Akwatia South from the NPP communications team are joining us to review the newspapers. We're back on your screens in a bit. Stay with us. You're live on the Joy News channel for the AM show, and this is the news review segment. And before we get into it, the Energy Commission and the Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service and Ghana TVET Service, presents the 5th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High School's Renewable Energy Challenge. Now, this challenge aims to develop the research skills of senior high school students and promotes technological innovation in renewable energy. And competing fiercely in this thrilling competition are the following schools: Obuasi Senior High Technical School, St. James Seminary Senior High School, Ola Girls Senior High School, Ahantaman Girls Senior High School, Pando Senior High School, and Dabukpa Technical Institute. You want to join us for the grand finale on Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at the Accra International Conference Center, or you can also catch it live. It's a live broadcast on Joy News at 9 a.m. sharp. And this event is proudly supported by GIZ, Ashesi University, French Development Agency, and VRA. Now, my guest joining me in the studio this morning is Mr. Philemon La of the NDC Communications team. Welcome aboard the News Review segment.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Okay,
great. I just want to put out that we also have Dr. Akwatia South from the NPP Communications team joining us via Zoom. But we're trying to connect with her in a bit. As soon as she joins us, we'll usher her into the conversation. So, Philemon La, you and I are ready to get into it, aren't we?
We are.
Great. So, like we usually do, I'll give you a minute and a half, or 2 minutes tops, to walk us through what's top of your mind this morning.
Very well. Good morning to the people of this country. I know that the people of this country, on a daily basis, are feeling the weight of this useless economy of Ghana.
Oh.
Yes, useless economy.
What a way to start.
Yes. I mean, look, the issue about the cost of living is something that is a national security issue. We must take it seriously. You see, it's not about you and I who can afford breakfast. It's about the people in the nook and crannies of this country who cannot feed. They cannot feed because the economy is crumpled, crushed, and you all know that Fitch had once declared our economy as junk. It is those people we think about. We think about the people from Bunkurugu, the people from Garu, the people from Pasingpe, all the corners of Ghana who this morning cannot afford a meal because this government has failed them. We are talking about the businessmen at Abosokai, at Magazine in Swami, who today cannot import into the country because of the excruciating duty costs. We are talking about the university students. Schools have reopened. Luckily, they've hold on with them reporting because of the strike. But schools have reopened, and there are a lot of students who cannot pay school fees. So that is why President Mahama is saying that when he comes, at least the fees for first-year students will be free. Disabled people will not pay fees at all for the entire period of their university education. And it's also going to be possible for you to access a loan that will help you pay your fees and take care of yourself while you're in school. There's also the massive issue of unemployment. I'm just looking at the video on your screen. It's a Friday morning, but see, very little traffic. People cannot even move from their homes to work.
This is a pre-recorded thing.
Pre-recorded, but I mean, at least it shows the relatively less traffic.
Mr. La, you have to hold your horses for me. We may have challenges with the economy, but it's not completely useless because some things are working. Are they not?
I'd be happy to know what is working.
Well, inflation is reducing.
As we speak.
They'll tell you that they're confident that they're meeting all the... when I say they, these are things that the government is saying.
Very well.
That they are confident that how we fared under IMF, we will be able to secure that third tranche. We know that there's a team in town. And although the hike in food prices have not reduced, I can say from my own experience that we were reporting that one small tomato was selling at the time for 5 cedis. It's not the same anymore. Yeah. You cannot say that it's entirely useless.
I heard people downstairs, right in the premises of Joy News, downstairs. They were having a conversation when I passed by. They said, "She was sitting in the
This is something that's been going around for a while.
No, but that's a fact. You see, you can't sit there and tell us, oh, there's some macroeconomic something or there's some da-da-da-da-da. The fact of the matter is that you can measure the real state of the economy by the pocket of the Ghanaian
Every
people.
4 or 8 years, we all say...
Let me throw the question directly to you today. What is your purchasing power? Has it not reduced?
But you know I don't answer your questions.
I know, but the fact is that it may be rhetorical, but I'm sure in your mind, in the minds of the listeners, they know that today, generally, the purchasing power of the Ghanaian has reduced. That's because the economy has gotten bad. When you talk about an improvement, is that an improvement in the exchange rate? None. The dollar is still at 16 cedis as we speak. Never in the history of this country has the cedi been raped so mercilessly by trading currencies. Never. If there's ever been one occasion, I yield the rest of my time for you.
So, like I said,
it has never happened.
Some things,
you look at interest
are
rates.
challenged, some things are working.
We are looking at the overall well-being of the Ghanaian people. And overall, nothing suggests progress. Everything suggests retrogression. Retrogression.
I like to say that posterity will be the judge of us all. So
that is why President Mahama
what happens. But let's get into the newspapers, and I'm sure you get the chance to give us more of your thoughts on the economy. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, police debunk claims of detaining minors, pregnant woman. Special supplement on World Tourism Day. Allow stakeholders to support free senior high school funding, MOBA panelists are saying. And in terms of Constituency Watch, in Ododo constituency, can NPP halt NDC dominance? Let's get into the story. I want to start with this Democracy Hub protesters who were detained and some of the issues that have come up. The story reads, the Ghana Police Service has stated that all 54 persons arrested for unlawfully protesting have been put before court in line with due process of law. It said the case was being prosecuted by the Office of the Attorney General. In its latest statement last night, signed by the Director of Public Affairs, Assistant Commissioner of the Police, Grace Ansakrofu, to update the public on the arrest and prosecution of Democracy Hub protesters in Accra, the police refuted claims that the police detained a 12-year-old child, a 68-year-old woman, as well as a pregnant woman. Let me just read this quote and then I'll come to you for your thoughts. We would like to categorically state that all these are false and they are calculated attempts by the organizers to court public sympathy. We therefore urge the public to disregard these reports and treat them with the contempt they deserve. Mr. Philemon La, the story is that the organizers, citizens, and some reportage we've seen flying around speaks to the arrest and detainment of some pregnant one woman. And even when we listen to that press release, I think a day after the arrest, the man, his name is just, I've forgotten his name, was saying that the children, but it turns out that it was just one child. I mean, the rhetoric of how we are painting this issue of the police action during the, Stop Galamsey Now protests is, are we not over exposing ourselves?
Well, sweetie, choosing between the protesters on one hand and the Ghana Police Service on the other hand, I'd rather side with the protesters, with the people, because so far there are a lot of inconsistencies in the police report. And sweetie, let me refer you to a video.
What inconsistency?
Yes, I'll come there. Let me refer you to a video that was played by Joy News, played by City. In that video, your reporter stretched out a microphone asking, Omwacha Kwalana, and they say, I or her, in the bus with the adults.
No, they did take one child.
Yes,
two actually. They released them both to their grandmother 3 days ago.
I know the specific
3 days ago.
I know the specific example of a 10-year-old who was in the police van with adults, and your reporter stretched out a microphone to her, and the police closed it and said, don't talk to them.
And I'm saying to you that, be that as it may, the child was part of those who were captured because the police, in their wisdom, were trying to curtail the violence from escalating. But they were released, were they not?
Sweetie, the fact of the matter is that a child was arrested with adults.
Okay.
A child was arrested with adults. I hear that they've labeled, they are preferring charges against someone for bringing a child to a demonstration. I find that very interesting. I find that very interesting. I didn't see the demonstration as violent. We take our children to the market.
You didn't see that man who was just going at the police, you know?
No,
I don't know if he was holding anything or just throwing his hands at
the police has to prove
Did
that...
you see Oliver Bakavama or demobilizing the police?
The police has to prove that whoever brought the child to the protest had foreknowledge that there was going to be violence. Otherwise, on what basis would that supposed charge stand? You can only say I have exposed the child to danger when I knew that where I was taking the child to was going to be violent. And we know demonstrations in Ghana are not violent. But
you talked about
the fact of the matter, inconsistencies. The fact of the matter is that the police have so far not responded on the issue of arresting innocent passerbys. Why did their statement not address that? The fact of the matter is that there are people who were just walking by, who were arrested, had nothing to do with the protest, and are today remanded in prison custody.
How do we
in prison
prove?
custody.
So the question is, how do we prove
There's
that
a
they are
specific example.
presumed innocent and proven guilty?
That's
right?
the point.
So the police, in their wisdom, again, you see, we want the police to be on our side, and it's as if the police is not on our side and it's on the side of government. But the police is supposed to be neutral and all of our sides, you know, and protect. Hold on, let me make my point. And protect all of us, right? You talk about inconsistencies, and I'm saying that in their own wisdom, they have to carry out investigations to be sure that the people who are arrested, those culpable are brought to book, those who are innocent to be released. Some were granted bail. So when you talk about inconsistencies, what is the inconsistency here? Because the rhetoric rather is that a pregnant woman had been arrested. It turned out that was wrong. They are saying there was no pregnant woman who was arrested. Then there was the Oliver Baka-Voma's whereabouts and how he's in need of medical attention and it's been neglected. But it turns out that he's at a police hospital. And then the arrest of children and detaining of children. But it turns out it was just one child, but subsequently released. So when you talk about inconsistencies, I just want you to actually back that with facts.
Yes, when you say Oliver has now been sent to the hospital, that was
not now been sent. He
now,
was in.
Nope,
he was
that's
at
not
the police hospital.
No, you see, sweetie, the lawyers of Oliver wrote to the IGP asking that Oliver be extended medical care. Prior to that, Oliver was not given medical care, even when his private doctor had gone there. That's number one. On the issue of innocent passerbys, have you not seen the video of a brother of one of the arrested who was only there, reported about his sister who was doing a TikTok live? Just doing a TikTok live and filming everything that was happening there, has been arrested. And this particular girl is diabetic. This particular girl is asthmatic. This particular girl has glaucoma. Are you not aware of that? Sweetie, are you not aware of that? Look at the circumstances prior, let me make this point. Look at the circumstances prior to the protest. Over 3 months in advance, Democracy Hub, I'm told, had been engaging the Ghana Police Service. And I've heard Amnesty International say they would lead a charge for the amendment of the Public Order Act because the police have abused that law. The fact of the matter is that the Act does not give room for what period of time the police can respond to you after you have informed them of your intention.
Philemonla, we need to move on to other stories. And I know that
demonstrating the inconsistencies to you.
Yes.
I sided the protesters than the Ghana Police Service, whose credibility.
So to wrap this, I'm just saying that, and that's why we have investigations, and let's leave the police to do their job.
On the issue of innocent and proven guilty, we have felonies and we have misdemeanors.
Okay.
We know the authority.
Now there's a story about allowing stakeholders to support free senior high school funding. That is according to mobile panelists. It's also in the Daily Graphic on page 11. It says the government should allow stakeholders in the educational space to support the financing of free senior high school education instead of insisting on exclusively funding it. Panelists at the Infantipim Old Boys Association annual engagement series have advocated. They said the government should leverage the goodwill of old students of senior high schools, religious organizations and companies to support a free senior high school policy and education in general and ensure a sustainable means of funding education. And this is not only coming up now. We've had other educational, should I say, stalwarts come out to say that what if people can pay for their children's education? Should we allow them to pay? We can't just have a bracket free senior high school policy and say that whether you can pay or not, government is paying for you, and then it becomes a deficit, and then we are unable to provide them quality food and all that. But what's your take on the matter? Should we open this up for stakeholders to support in funding?
Absolutely, and I'm happy that the public civil society actors, schools are buying into the NDC's promise to review free SHS in a positive light. We started talking about review, and the naysayers wanted to spin it around. The fact of the matter is that free SHS needs review. And the NDC is committing that we will continue free SHS, but we will improve it. Improve it to the extent that this situation where the rich are being catered for at the expense of the poor is a thing of the past. We must also ensure that there's quality quality of feeding for our children in the various secondary schools. The status quo is that the food they give our children in the various secondary schools is nothing to write home about, aside the issue of shortages. You know the recent story about shortages. You don't even pay the suppliers of foodstuff to the various secondary schools. President Mahama has promised, the NDC's commitment is to the effect that we shall review free SHS with the intention of making it better, with the intention of providing much more facilities. You know the NDC's record in building several community day schools all around. We'll improve them by building residential facilities, dormitories, libraries, for us to accommodate much more students in the various secondary schools. So I think it's a right call. I commend Mobile, I commend the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools who also have an opinion on this, and that free SHS needs review, urgent review, because this government has simply just followed the rhetorics and done nothing. No clear
nothing at all.
I'm talking about clear commitment to solving the excesses, the challenges of free SHS. Even the former finance minister himself, Ken Oforiatta, admitted that free SHS needs review. And there shouldn't be the case where the children
need review, but you cannot. Okay, you cannot say they've not achieved anything.
I've not said
in terms of access.
I'm talking about the fact that. Are you not talking about what mobile people are saying? That
they're suggesting that we should.
So I'm speaking in the context of review.
So in terms of review, they've not done anything.
It is clear that the NDC is very committed to free SHS. We are, but we'll review it with the intention to make it better for the larger enjoyment of the children of this country, the various secondary schools across Ghana.
6.2 million children to be issued instant Ghana cards. That's good news, isn't it? The National Identification Authority is to register and issue instant Ghana cards to 6.2 million children between the ages of 6 and 16 from October this year to March 2025. The exercise will begin on October 7th, about 2 weeks, and will see to the registration of 2.85 million children within 5 months in the first phase at 170 operational districts. And being part of the final phase of the Ghana card registration exercise, it is expected to capture the biometric data of at least 2/3 of children who will instantly be issued dual interface smart biometric cards. And the cards will be valid for 10 years. How are you receiving this information? And I also read, I think about a month ago, that they started issuing Ghana cards abroad to Ghanaian citizens living abroad, so they don't have to come all the way here to do that.
You see, the fact of the matter, whenever I hear of the National Identification Authority, I remember that it's an authority that's infested with protests by the workers of that particular state agency about working conditions, about the leadership of the man that leads it, about the governance of the NIA by Professor Ken Atefua. So I just can't deny the fact that I know workers are agitated about the running of this particular institution. So I would want to speak on this matter, bearing in mind that you have to start with the most important things, and those are the people you work with. The people you work with are complaining about your leadership. They are talking about a certain despotic attitude by the chief executive.
See what you just did now?
Yeah.
I put an issue before you, and you're attacking the character of the people behind it.
No. It's a matter of public record.
The issue is that
what I am talking
they're
about,
expanding the number of people who have access to Ghana cards.
I am coming there.
And you're attacking the personality of the leadership.
The fact of the matter is that what I have said is a matter of public record. If it is not told,
yes,
it's a matter of public record.
But I'm saying to you that
before I speak to the issue of the said 2.2 million children that are about to be registered,
Philemon, time is of the essence.
Exactly.
So let's stick to the issue.
You should let me flow. So I side with the workers when they say there's a certain despotism going on at the. But indeed, the NIA has over the years churned out information that I have found very difficult to believe, because there are several examples of them saying they have captured so and so number of people and several inefficiencies with even distribution of cards. I think that it's much more important that you utilize state resources much more efficiently. You don't go and expend state resources in doing A, B, and C, and at the end of the day, it becomes like you leave it, neglect it, at the peril of the states. But to the extent that this is practicable and to be done, good thing, but I doubt the efficiency of this man's leadership at the NIA. I doubt that.
That's an opinion that you are entitled to.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly.
I like that. I like how you ended. So let me quickly run through some more stories. Transport Minister calls for maritime stakeholders to ensure industry safety. We just did that. Revoke LI on mining in forest reserves with immediate effect. That is according to the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. And they're also adding their voice to the, the call against illegal mining and the devastating effect it has on this country and our water bodies. Changes in management won't affect Power supply, ECG board says the replacement was rather swift, I should say. So the board directors of the Electricity Company of Ghana has assured the public of regular supply of power in spite of changes in the management of the establishment. It said all the systems of the ECG were in place to offer the essential services it provided to Ghanaians. Quote, the board has received the support of management, and we are here to assure you that the fact that we have had changes in management would not mean that you're going to have some interrupted power supply issues. So Samuel Dubik Mahama resigned, was it 2 days ago?
Yes.
And now we have I think the deputy director also has been promoted to be acting managing director. ECG is just reassuring Ghanaians that it would not affect the power supply in any way. What are your quick thoughts on this?
I mean, the ECG, we are hearing a lot of things in the grapevine, and to the extent that we can't substantiate them, we'll be careful the extent of information we release. But the fact of the matter is that we are hearing that there's some rot going on at the Electricity Company of Ghana, and that rot sought to implicate lawyer Dubik Mahama, and he not wanting to be held accountable, especially knowing that President Mahama, when elected, is going to embark on Operation Recover or Loot. Every money, state resources that would be stolen in any state agency, President Mahama has promised that will recover it. So Mr. Dubik Mahama, knowing that some powers that be are bending his hand to initiate and perpetrate crime, had to resign honorably.
You know this for a fact?
I'm saying that these are the facts.
Statements we read from him did not say that his hands
he
were
said for personal reasons.
Yes.
He said for personal reasons.
And you are inferring from that personal reason that...
I thought I told you that we are picking some information.
Yes, but you know, I like
we have
when
our
we
sources.
stick to the facts.
These are facts.
The fact is,
based
his
on what?
statements did not say.
Oh, but if you want me to just say because his statement has said he has resigned for personal reasons, then my comment should have been that he has resigned. So there's no opinion. He's resigned. But what we are picking is that there's some stinking corruption at the ECG. Stinking, pungent corruption at the ECG.
And I'm only
and we will recover it.
Where's your source?
President Mahama's commitment.
The issue we had was PULC talking about, mismanagement, moving funds from the cash waterfall mechanism to pump it into to buy fuel. Really, it's not like they even spent it on anything. To buy fuel. Those were the issues that were coming up. Well, we know that the energy sector is facing some crisis in terms of funding and all that. So where are you getting your information from? That's all I'm asking.
We have our sources.
So name your source.
And you know, as
your national television, I cannot let you make
the
claims without backing them
even
with
you,
facts.
as a journalist, we all have our sources, and we protect our sources. We protect our sources. Do you want me to expose someone who potentially can be shot?
Hey, hold for me. Let me bring in our second guest from the NPP communications team, Dr. Ifua Amwako. He's a member of the NPP communications team. Doc, good morning and welcome aboard the News Review segment. She joins us via Zoom. Doc, you have to unmute so we hear you. Okay, I don't seem to have her online with me, but if you can hear me, you have to unmute so we can hear you. Let me come back to the studio and do some other stories because we have to move away from this ECG matter
We protect
quickly.
our sources.
I get you. On the issue of revoking LI on mining and forest reserves, we've talked about it at length. That is even what has resulted in this no Galamsey protest and the ongoing legal battle that the attorney... Yesterday, I listened to Alfred Tuayeboa, the Deputy Attorney General, saying that, there were calls that the AG should halt the processes, the court proceedings, and just let the people go. And they say that it is a matter that the courts, only the courts
you mean on the
will
protest?
decide. Yes, on the
protesters.
protest.
Okay.
I'm just giving updates to our audience. So in terms of Constituency Watch, can NPP halt dominance in Ododo-Diodio constituency?
This is very important. I disagree with the Deputy Attorney General. It is not only the court. He, the Deputy Attorney General, the Attorney General himself, have powers under Article 88 of the Constitution. They can file a nolle prosequi. So it is not the court. And whenever the Attorney General files a nolle prosequi in court, the court will oblige them. So saying there's only the court that can free them is not correct. The Attorney General. And it is important to also add that usually the Attorney General is not interested in misdemeanors. When you go to the circuit court, it is police people that prosecute. So why is it that in the case of these protesters, the Attorney General himself is the one prosecuting? It is curious. Because order from above.
Simply because it went to court. And you cannot take an issue to court.
No, the point I'm making,
police arrested people.
You don't get it.
I've just been told we have just about 5 minutes to go. Let me quickly run through this news. But what I'm saying is that the issue is in court. The Attorney General cannot wake up on his own volition and say that...
No doubt. But I'm saying that
take these people out because they've not done anything. Let the courts determine who's guilty and who's innocent.
At the circuit court, it is police...
The custodian... Let's rush through this. Right. The custodian newspaper...
And they can file a nolle prosequi if they are committed to freeing the
people. The custodian newspaper, EC rejects NDC's forensic audit demand. It's saying categorically that the EC is rejecting this. So I want to get into that story briefly and then we go. NDC planned Democracy Hub demo, says Cheddar, NPP's incentives to cocoa farmers and match don't refuel vehicles with passengers on board. But the story I want to get to is on the EC's rejection of the NDC's forensic audit demand. And the Electoral Commission has rejected calls from the National Democratic Congress for a forensic audit of the Provisional Voters Register. The election management body asserted that the established legal and administrative processes for cleaning the register have not been fully utilized, making such an audit unnecessary at this time. And in a letter addressed to the national chairman of the NDC, the EC explained that the mechanisms for correcting discrepancies in the provisional voter register are already in place and should be exhausted before any further actions. He also noted that the constitutional instrument CI 91 acknowledges that the provisional voters register is a draft register and allows for corrections through an exhibition exercise. So, simply put, we will not be getting a forensic audit into the voters register. And I want to try one more time to see if I can get Dr. Ifua Amwako on Zoom with us. Doc, if you can hear me this time, please unmute. Otherwise, we are just about wrapping up and we will not be able to engage. But, Philemon, quickly on this EC's rejection of your, the NDC's request or demand for a forensic audit.
I think the EC does not understand the demands of the NDC, and not just the NDC, but several other political parties. I listened to Joy FM this morning, and there are reports about various political parties siding with the NDC and attacking the credibility of the EC and the list they have compiled. The issues the NDC has, it's not just about the illegal transfer of votes all out. It's also about the technology they are using. Because we know for a fact that in the specific case of Pusika, there's supposed to be the utilization of facial technology, that before you can transfer your vote from one polling station to another, CI 91, the governing law of this particular election, says that the person must physically walk to the district office in the constituency where he wants to transfer his vote. Go physically, the technology will scan your face, and then your vote will be transferred. But in the specific case of Pusga, in the specific case of Esunas Fosav, Esutifi, Tolon, Sanarigu, several constituencies in this country, people's votes were illegally transferred without their authorization.
That's the same CI that the EC is using to back their rejection.
I'm going further. And further is the fact that the technology as at now is in question. And as an umpire, as an arbiter, as a referee in this election, the EC has a responsibility to portray to all of the actors that they are fair. And one of the means to guarantee that cooperation by the various political parties is to come. If you have nothing to hide, really come. But you see, the deficit, the mistake of this CI is that if the EC just wants to say that it's self-correct and that if you come with an issue, they'll correct it, will there be another opportunity for you to exhibit again for us to know whether or not those things have happened? There will be none.
Quickly walk us through your newspaper.
So it's important that the EC realizes that the peace of this country is in their hands. And they have an ultimate responsibility to collaborate with all stakeholders, including the NDC.
Philemon, we have a minute to go.
Yes, so...
The stories on your newspaper.
It's about Oliver Vomao remanded. He and several others remanded over misdemeanor. Misdemeanor means it's
just quickly tell us the story on the front page.
Front page has been discussed already. That's about the NIA matter.
So that's the Ghanaian Times
Times, on the NIA. But the fact is that we have citizens of this country, children of parents watching, who are in custody today on remand on misdemeanors. And the law tells us that misdemeanors are small crimes. Why is the Attorney General interested in misdemeanors?
Philemon is a member of the NDC communications team. Unfortunately, we couldn't have Dr. Ifua Amwako on Zoom with us, and she was supposed to be here with us this morning. But right before we go, Ghana 4, your favorite radio stations are back on TuneIn. Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa FM, and Ishra FM. all your beloved multimedia group brands are now back on TuneIn. So wherever you are, we've got you covered. Yes, Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa FM, and Inshira FM are all back on TuneIn. So tune in to the best of music, sports, music, and entertainment, news and entertainment from Ghana's top stations, anytime, anywhere on TuneIn. So go to the App Store or Google Play Store to download TuneIn and listen to Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa FM, or Inshira FM to stay connected and entertained. And that's how we're wrapping up for the news review segment on the AM show. We'll have sports coming up next, and Benjamin Akakpo will share his blunt thoughts with you. Interesting caption over there, Galamsey called Ghana. You want to stay with us for more.
He occupied this very seat that I am here today. Many years ago, he commentated on many of the sporting events you and I became so much fan of. We loved it. The description he gave to those moments that we saw was one of the reasons why we fell in love with sports. Many years ago, he was Ghana's sports minister. Many years ago, he was a man who many had described as the vibrant, because I recall the tenure he was the Minister of Youth and Sports. The Ghana Football Association always said that they were under fire. They were under fire because the man who was occupying the seat had seen or been through the various moments of leadership of the Ghana Football Association, and in fact, covered moments that involved the Ghana Football Association. So he had a perfect picture into the happenings and the governance of football in this country. Here on Prime Take today, we are speaking to the venerable Neelante Vanderpoel, a former broadcaster with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I don't know whether if it is appropriate to say a former sports journalist. Are you a former?
Oh, well, I think that I'm still a sports broadcaster and a sports journalist, because almost every day in my life, I try to make sure that the profession becomes better. So I call sports presenters and sports journalists like you and others and try and make sure they do the right thing, correct them when possible, and also share ideas with them.
In fact, I was reading your tribute to Joe Latte Sr., where you mentioned that he brought his son for you to groom him.
Yeah. In fact, you know, I met Joe Latte as a kid. I was then 7 years, class 2. My teacher then, Mrs. Latte, was the wife.
Oh, okay.
So he used to come and pick our teacher somewhere around 4 o'clock from school all the time. And as soon as he gets off his VW car, we start shouting, "Over to you, Joe Latte, over to you." Then we follow him. Some of us will hold his shirt, some of us will hold his hands, and all those things. And I saw him at that time as a mythical person, you know, somebody who could hold the whole nation spellbound with his voice and on radio. Those days we used to use the what we call the Kofi Adaka. You know, the radio transmission boxes.
Yes.
So we used to gather around the radio set when there's football commentary. So something about 20, 30 boys. Yeah. We gather and we listen to commentary. And when he's giving commentary, everybody becomes like spellbound. Nobody wants any noise, any distraction. Because Joe Latte was giving commentary and you have to listen to him attentively. So it was with much pride. I was growing up, you know, always
at close range.
And then one day, when I think I was around 11, and I went to the race course, and it was a Derby day. Okay. And the way he was mentioning the name of the horses, those days, funny, pleasant names of horses, and the way he was mentioning their names and the finesse with which he was giving the commentary, I was just looking at him, admiring him from afar. Then something dawned on me that I want to be like this man.
So he actually inspired your journalism journey?
Yes, because my grandfather was so keen in my education, and he was a medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
He owned a private medical facility, and I was the first grandchild.
Oh, okay.
And he wanted me to take over. So he was like tailoring me towards medicine.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, I saw within myself that I did not have the ability for that. I care and sympathize with people so much that I may not be able to be a good doctor. So Jolate inspired me.
You can't stand pain?
No, I can't. I can't stand seeing people go through pain.
Oh, wow.
You understand? It's difficult. It's difficult for me. It's sometimes I become too emotional.
Yeah.
But with commentary, you know, painting a picture for people to understand was, I was quite a good narrator when I was a child. So I used to do drama, I used to do a lot of performances and things. So it was good that I chose that side. But let me be frank with you. When I got to know that the legendary Joe Latte was actually the husband of my teacher, it made me become more interested in him. And as a child, twice I visited broadcasting. I visited him, our school children. We used to go to the zoo and then go to the broadcasting.
Okay.
And when we go to broadcasting, I went to the studio to stand there, look at him, presenting sports at that time. And through him, I became fond of all the legends of broadcasting. Ken Amwa, Nianum Thompson, Harry Thompson, Eric Berkun, and all those people. So my transition from university to GBC was that smooth. It wasn't too difficult because I already, before I got into the university, I already had an idea of what I wanted to be. And so it was easy for me to gravitate towards that area. So the first year I had a problem with the courses I chose.
What were they?
In fact, I was doing the first year I was giving English, political science, and then law.
Okay.
But then I couldn't pursue the law. And so I went back to the then Dean of Students, Professor Bule. I convinced him to change the law to classics.
Okay.
So the combination was difficult for me to hold. So it became English, classics, philosophy. All has something to do with English language.
Yes.
You know, the pronunciation and all sort of writing and all this. So it fitted well into my dream job. And it was not by accident that I got employed by GBC even before I left the university campus.
Oh, so you were in the university when GBC employed you?
Yes.
How did that happen? Or they had seen what you were doing?
Well, let me say my thanks and gratitude go to the late President John Evers Atta Mills.
Oh, okay.
When Professor Kofi Kumado and Dr. Esuman used to run commentary for most sporting activities on campus.
The former sports minister, Kofi Kumado?
Yes, Kofi Kumado.
Oh, wow.
He was chairman of the GFA board at the time. Yes. The law professor.
Oh, I see.
So they used to do commentary, but they were all lecturers. So sometimes they had lectures. And so the campus, the sporting activities are done without commentary. Okay. So one day I just said, look, after doing my 400 meters, I said, let me do the commentary. They were all surprised. And I did it with finesse. I did it without any distance. You know, I then felt that I could do it, but I've never exploited it.
Yeah.
I could feel within me that I could do it. So everybody, the whole campus, the Legon Athletics Oval, everybody was shocked. Who is that? And then Professor Mills just came to me and said, I pay the broadcasting. And I said, Inyo, it's okay. So the next day, he was then the Commission of Internal Revenue Service. Okay. But he was the president of the Amalgamated Sports Club of the University of Ghana, means the president of the Sports Association.
Yeah.
And I was then the sports secretary of Sabah Hall.
Okay.
So as soon as he said, the next day, he brought me this advert in the newspapers and said I should apply. So I just picked A4 sheet, asked for his pen, and then wrote application on his bonnet, car bonnet.
Oh, I see.
Just by the loggia, Sabah Hall loggia. Because that time we're training, we're playing football on the field. Yeah. We're training for the West African University Games.
Okay.
So I applied, and then he took it away and went and gave it to Mr. Kofi Totobi Kwachi, who was then the Minister for Information. So Totobi Kwachi called me, and we had a discussion at Nana Kwampim, the late Nana Kwampim's office at Opebia House, the top. And there they were actually discussing issues about Accra House of Folk. And so they called me when I went there. I felt misplaced because they were discussing. So I sat there for some time, and then he came out and told me that the then Director General of Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Mr. George Ayi, George Mensah Ayi, has requested that I should come to GBC the following morning. So the following morning when I went to GBC, I was told that I should rather report at the old drama studio where the current National Theatre is situated. When I went there, a whole lot of people, over 1,000-something people. And they were just looking to recruit just about 20 people. So we went to audition. It got to my turn around 5 o'clock in the evening. So as soon as I finished, I went back. I was so disturbed because I had missed my training. I was one person who never joked with his training.
Were you playing football, or you were doing a multiplicity of disciplines, athletics, football, everything?
You better go back to the University of Ghana and ask them. I was a decathlete when I was at university, yes. And also multiple sporting disciplines. I played football, did athletics, hockey, volleyball, and if there was rugby at the time, I would have played.
You have played.
But on athletics day, I was doing 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, long jump, triple jump, high jump, 800 meters, 1,500 meters. Yeah, because at the university, it was difficult at that time to get people to do all the events. And so if you are good and you want your hall to win, you must sacrifice. My predecessor, who is a lawyer, Jean Morellet, did the same. He was doing almost every event for the hall. Because we need to force people to virtually do athletics on the university campus at that time, because the University of Ghana then was not friendly for sportsmen and women. There were times when I had to do an event, run to lectures, when I'm in the lecture room, I will be called that the next event, I have to leave the lecture room, come, run, go back. So, in fact, one of the things that affected me as a student then was the fact that I had to spend a lot of time organizing my people to do sports, motivating people to do sports, and training on my own as a sportsman. It wasn't easy. Because Sabah Hall, because of the Maize Hall, you need to get organized both male and female athletes. Some people had talent, but when they got to university, they saw that, look, the sports will affect their academic work. They declined to do sports. Sometimes in this way, you have to talk to them, convince them to do sports. And it wasn't easy at that time because unlike KNUST, at that time UST, they end their lectures somewhere around 3 o'clock, 4. Then so the sportsmen and women can have time to train and do their sports. University of Ghana, lectures were throughout to the evening. So if you want to do sports and you have your lecture somewhere between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, you either have to go to your training or go for lectures. You may have to sacrifice one. It wasn't easy. And our lectures were said that sometimes we have very early morning lectures. It means that you have to skip morning training.
Morning training sessions.
And I handled my training sessions with religious zeal. In the morning by 5:30, I'm off. I have to get all the other sportsmen and women in the hall to be up, get them onto the training field, do our morning training, close training, make sure those who have to get massage and the rest are giving their massage, make sure everybody had their normal breakfast, and then before going for lectures.
Hey, then the kind of things you did, but did you do this all the way up from your O and A level? Did you do?
Well, to be frank with you, O-level, yes, I did some sports to the extent that I started my sports life as a boxer. So,
as a boxer?
Yes.
Well, no, I'm not taking it back because of where you're from.
I started as a boxer. I was in the same gym with the Clotte brothers, Tender, Hector, Judas.
Oh, okay.
And then I had to leave Accra to Sunyani to join my father. So when I went to Sunyani, I was in the same gym, the Sunyani Coronation Gym, with the late Kwame Jato, who was then a heavyweight boxer, and Nana Yakoledu. So it was basically about 5 of us in the gym. And the gym was so dilapidated. The facilities were poor. So those days, we do more of stamina work and just punching. Because you didn't have the sort of, let me say, gym where you can do your leg movements and things as I was used to in Accra. So in fact, when I got to Sunyani, I was far better than those who were there. So we had to go through the training.
You were more of the pro.
Yes, more or less. And to be frank with you, Nana Yakoledu will still tell you up to today that I'd really impacted on him, because when we put on the gloves, the two of us, he was always in my hands. I used to give it to him very well. Fortunately for him, at the National Day Games, he won. He won the gold and was called to the national team. But I wasn't called because I lost in the quarterfinals. I met a better boxer from Accra.
Okay.
And in fact, I couldn't stand it.
Was that what ended your boxing dream?
No, really. When I went back to Sunyani, in the secondary school, I was going through difficult time because I was in secondary school in the boarding house at Bichim.
Okay.
Bichim. And I had to go to Sunyani for training. So it means that I always have to take an exit to go for training, because we didn't have a boxing gym in Bichim.
Yeah.
So virtually what I was doing was to do the stamina work, the road work, and not do my shadow boxing all the time on campus. Then weekends, when I get the opportunity to go, before I can do real punching bags and all those things. So I could see that it was just fading off slowly. So I decided to divert more to the football. But initially, I was much more interested in boxing than football.
Then infrastructure deficit was the core thing that impacted your boxing?
Yes,
boxing
seriously, I would say that. Because, and that is why when I became minister, I was keen in developing the boxing infrastructure in all the regions. Because, let me be frank with you, we have the potential to become much more better sports nation through boxing than in football. You see, the Ghanaian naturally have that latent knowledge in boxing, even from the north down to the south. Today, let me be frank with you, we are getting even much more better boxers from the northern part of the country than even the south.
Wow.
Yes. I was so much into the boxing league, and I saw most of the boxers who were good had all come from the north.
I see.
The northerners are naturally strong, but it's the knowledge, the skill, the technique that they need to adopt. So when you have somebody who is so much passionate, interested, and you transferring knowledge, the technique to the person, and that he gets that to complement his natural strength, he's super.
I see.
Super.
Honorable, I'll bring you back to the point of you going to join 1,000 others to audition to get to GBC. But your early beginnings, how would you describe them?
Tough.
How was it like?
Tough. Survival of the fittest. I was born in Tema. Then I came to Zongolin. And those were the days when you have food. Somebody can just, bully you and take your food away from you. You have a football, somebody can bully you, take it away from you. Every day of your life, you go out there, there's somebody there who wants to bully you. So you need to be tough. People will knock you, you have to knock them. People will hit you, you have to hit them. So there was no day that I don't get pushed and I don't push others. Every day of my life as a boy, I was pushed and I pushed others. I was kicked and I kicked others. I was hit and I hit others. So it was a tough life and it toughened me. I also, even though I come from a family that is quite prominent here in Accra, my father and mother were just public servants, you know, and so I didn't get it rosy and I had to struggle. So playing Muncheni around, football around, to get some money, to support yourself, doing odd jobs, you know, going to carry concrete at building construction sites, scavenging through the drains in Accra. I was a scavenger. It wasn't easy because it was quite tough for me to decide to further my education, because just after some time my father felt that, look, you better go and get, I'm going to give you a job at the city council to be a city guard. At the time he changed his mind, I wanted to go to the police, I wanted to go to the army. No. So my mother saw that I was doing good academically. So my mother was encouraging me. If I tell you that one day my father virtually beat up my mother because my mother was resisting his decision to let me go to the army. My mother felt that with my academic performance, I should continue. She was ready. So my father didn't know how I went to secondary school. My mother had to secretly send money through people to buy me the books I needed. I had to study the books, The Cover of Darkness. When my father is coming, I have to hide the books under my bed, because he was then seriously convinced that the way forward for me was to join the army. It wasn't easy. So my mother decided that she would do everything to make sure I get education that I desire. Even though I was doing sports all over, playing football here and there, boxing here and there, I was also very, very keen with my books. I didn't joke. Things became difficult to a time, brother. I was selling kebab. Up to today, some members of my family do sell. It is our trade. It's like our business. My family members do. When you are having a program, just tell me. I will let them come and do the kebab for you. Yeah, we do it. We do it so well. Yeah,
I see.
So well. Yeah, we do it so well. I know how to do it. I can do it for myself. I can do it for you for a fee. Just that me, when I'm going to do it, the charges will be much more higher.
Because of where you sit now.
Yes. And it's business that really helped me, because I'll be sitting behind my kebab table at the Metropole nightclub in Accra and be reading my books. And that's how I survived, through education, because it was difficult for my mother to be able to do it alone.
Honorable, you mentioned something earlier about how your granddad had a private hospital, wanted you to get into his lane, but you still had a very difficult life. How did that happen?
You see, my granddad was married to a white lady, and so my father protested. In fact, he was fighting for the mother when my grandfather came from the UK with a white lady. So it became a problem. He had a problem with his father.
So asking your grandfather was married as a polygamous, yeah?
Yes.
How many wives?
2.
2 wives?
Yes.
Okay.
My father's mother, that my grandmother, and then a white lady. So my father had a problem with the father, And the father asked him not to come close to him anymore. And because of the way my father behaved, my step-grandmother did not allow us into their home in Adraka. So we have to leave the house and go to my father's house. My father inherited that house from his grandmother. But then because my grandfather was outside the country, we were living in my grandfather's house in Adraka. So I was attending All Saints, which was just a walking distance. All Saints Anglican Primary School was just 200 meters from our house. So when they had a problem, and my grandfather said, look, leave my house, go to your house. My father just had to move with us back to his house in Zongo Lane. So that is what severed the sort of direct relationship a bit with my grandfather. But then, in his will, he willed the hospital to me if I did medicine. If I didn't, he gave it out to Department of Social Welfare.
Oh.
Yeah.
And because you didn't, it went to them?
Yes. But I never regretted. And I've always been proud of myself that I did what I desired, what I wanted to do. And I was not forced to do what I didn't want to do.
Oh, no.
But my father didn't care. My mother was a bit disturbed because she thought that there was this inheritance for me. So she was pushing me to do. So my mother was very, very, let me say, disappointed when I didn't do medicine. But later on when I started working GBC and on television,
you were making a name for yourself.
Yeah, she became very happy. She became very happy and she got convinced that, well, if that is a path God has chosen for me, she was okay with it.
But considering the fact that the relationship between your grandfather and your father went sour a bit, would you say that kind of also affected the kind of life that you would have had? Assuming they had a very good relationship, your grandfather would have contributed to your education.
My grandfather would have forced me to do the medicine, and I wouldn't be Neil Lante.
You probably would have been Dr. Neil Lante Vanderpoy in that
But then
hospital.
you wouldn't be sitting here interviewing me.
Probably I would also be a health reporter.
You wouldn't be sitting here interviewing me, and maybe I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to be a minister of sports in Ghana. You understand? God chooses our paths for us. All that you needed to do is to know the sort of destiny, or the sort of path God has chosen for you, and then tap into it.
Now let's go back to the audition that you had with hundreds and thousands of others, because you needed only 20 people.
You know the funny thing? One of the panelists of that audition just passed.
Oh.
And I doffed my hat to him. He was a great person. Godwin Avenable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster. And he, I don't know, he fell in love with me as soon as I got into GBC. Helped in my shaping, my training. He really did help. Sometimes he would just invite me. I'll pick scripts, read the scripts before him. He will correct my pronunciation. He will tell me how to do my pauses and all. He really helped me. He really helped me.
So talk to us about that audition. After you said you had the opportunity to audition around 5 p.m.
Yeah.
After that, what happened?
After that, I just went back to Legon. I was in Legon. Then one day, we're training because we're then going to play the Gusa Games, Ghana University Sports Games. We were hosting at Legon, the football.
You've always hosted this event.
Because I think the other schools were always happy coming to Accra.
I remember, was it 2018 or 2019 that they gave one to UPSA to host? I went there to cover it.
So we were training. As soon as we finished training, at that time, Coach Sapon, Emmanuel Sapon was our coach.
Oh.
Professor
Shapiro.
Mills, yes, Professor Mills intentionally brought him from Accra Academy to come and help us, because then, before then, we're having the late Samamat FU as our coach, together with Mr. W.K. Agra. But Samamat FU got a contract and he had to leave Ghana. So when he left, Professor Bani took over. And then he was handling us a bit before Shapiro came. And when Shapiro came, his first training, he wanted to change my position.
Were you tiny?
I've always been who I am, just like you. And I was fast. I was very fast. I was one of the quickest footballers at that time.
Yeah, I see.
We had, if you're talking about speed at that time, maybe the only person who could beat me at that time was Matisse Ama, who was then playing for Great Olympics. He played in an under-16 tournament, the first under-16 in Scotland. Yeah, Matisse Ama. But then he was playing for Great Olympics. He was a speedster. And Matisse Ama was playing the wing. And because of my speed, Shapiro wanted to push me to the wing.
As in a right back or a left wing?
I was playing
winger?
I was playing right fullback.
Okay.
But he wanted me to go to the right wing so that Matisama will play as a striker.
Oh, okay.
But just around that time, we had a first-year student who came and was a wonderful footballer, the late Daniel Batidam, who became head of the Integrity International.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the anti-corruption agent. He was then playing for Upper West Heroes.
Oh, okay.
When he got admission at Legon. And so when he came, it was good he came. Shapiro was forced to abandon his plan of converting a man to striker and pushing me to the to the forward.
To a position you didn't want.
Yeah, so finally we there. So after one training, Shapiro said, Prof. Samuels wanted to see me. So as soon as I went there, he handed over my appointment letter to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said, wow. So everybody wanted to see. I said, "What? I've gotten a job." I said, "So what? Are you leaving the school?"
A job at where?
I said, so they asked me to report on I think somewhere around April, but I told them I couldn't do it because we're still preparing for the West Africa University Games, the Gusa Games and the West Africa University Games, so I couldn't make it. So the position was kept for me for another year.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Then the panel, they saw a jewel that they needed to keep.
Yep. And after that audition, what I did was that at that time, the professional league, was this professional at that time? Yes. They come out with this thing that all clubs must cover video. They must have a video coverage of their matches. So, as of we're going to play Kumapim Royals in Mampong. So Professor Mills went with me. And I did the commentary.
And Prof. Mills was with House of Oak?
Yes, at that time. He was the director of House of Oak. So he went with me, and I did the commentary, live commentary for House of Oak match against Kumapim.
Oh, okay.
It was a wonderful match. I remember then Nawu, Anthony Tieku, Rizika Adamu, Eben Dubate, Ablade Kuma, those young guys, and then Manuama and all those people. It was a good match. So after that, House of Oak Missionaries, I did the coverage. House of Oak Asante Kotoko, I did it. And
all these were on GBC?
Yes, GTV. I did it, and the clips were sent to GTV.
Yeah, okay.
So GBC at that time saw that we don't have to lose this boy. So even if he was not ready,
we will be ready, we'll wait.
So immediately after school, I was also posted, National Service, I was posted to Ascend District. And GBC wanted me to start work immediately. But the law also would not permit me because I had to finish my service before I started working as a full-time job. So GBC, I was asking that my National Service was transferred. I was reposted to GBC. But I said no. At that time, let me be frank with you, issues about corruption, issues about, patronage, nepotism and things were like curses to me. I don't want to compromise my principles. So I said no. If the National Service has posted me to FUSU, I'll go to FUSU.
Then journalism has always been in your life.
I'll go to FUSU because God is the one who wanted. Maybe the people of that area needed me at that particular time. Yeah. And so I wouldn't want to be reposted to GBC. My mother was scared because she thought I would lose mine. But I had options at that time. I had applied for a job at Senate. I had gotten it. I had applied for a job at VRA. I had gotten it. So I was spoiled for it.
Friday is here, and it is time, Ghana, for me to share my blunt thoughts with you. And today I've titled it, The Galamsey State Called Ghana, the Wanton Rape of Nature and the Consequences for Us All. The Galamsey State Called Ghana, the Wanton Rape of Nature and the Consequences for Us All. I'm sure Galamsey State brings something to mind, like narco states, narcotics states. And you have them, a lot of them in different parts of the world. At a point, Ghana was becoming a narco state many years ago. We managed to get past that hurdle. But now, clearly, we're in the grips of being a Galamsey state, and it makes no sense. Because we are losing on all ends. And I'll elaborate when I get to my slides shortly how this is turning out to be much more of a problem than any one of us could ever imagine. It's a hydra-headed problem. And you see, what beats my imagination is what I'm going to start with. Democracy Hub's protest against illegal mining. 39 protesters remanded into police and prison custody. And you ask yourself, the elements behind Galamsey. In fact, I was just reading about this chief, right? And his elders who are involved in Galamsey, who now are facing some, consequences of saying, instead of dealing with such elements, instead of dealing with the politicians mired, whose hands are dirty with Galamsey, we choose, rather, to target the people who protest against the rape of our environment. I am not saying they protested on good grounds, good cause, and the Ghana Police Service must get this. The law nowhere states that you determine who goes on demonstration, at what time. You must only give guidance. You ensure that you are maintaining the public peace, that they are sticking to the tenets and the roots, yes. But it appears for me that gradually, maybe not even gradually, it has been a trend over time. The Ghana Police Service, being an extension of the executive or a member of the executive, is used as a tool, a poodle, if you like. I'm sorry I have to use that word. Every time the executive seemingly doesn't want certain people to demonstrate, or there are certain ideas, this is a security area. That is even Washington, D.C. The White House, where people picket around the White House. So what are we talking about? We are so we like to show force, show power so much in this country. We like big manism, honorable, dishonorable people in government, in and out. Honorable. Instead of dealing with those elements, we know the politicians involved. Instead of the political elements, Mr. President, you said you were putting your presidency on the line. Instead of dealing with them, we like to deal with people like this. And then it gets even more interesting because 39 people, those who were, sent into prison custody, remand. I spoke to the lawyer for these people some 2 days ago. And he stated to me that he felt it was a show of power. It's not that the police do not have enough cells to contain these people or that they can't remand them there. For him, he thinks it was a show of power. If you are the stubborn nuts in there, we'll show you something. We've read on social media. I know Felicity Nelson. We hear some of these people are in custody and are not being given food or drink. I'm not saying it. Their lawyer said it. The question is, human rights? Is this how we enforce human rights in this country? I'm not in support of the billboard distraction and all of that. Public property, let them be sanctioned. They could have even been cautioned. You see, I feel it was an opportunity missed by the Ghana Police Service. Show maturity. Even if those people had not showed a certain level of maturity, the Ghana Police Service could have put itself in better stead and say what? You know, these things have happened, but we're praying that the court, or in this instance, this and that. I know sometimes it gets out of your hand. The AG has come into the matter. We pray the court to caution them and let them go. But no, we must show power. I want to see the Ghana Police Service show that same power in dealing with politicians who are down there, destroying our water bodies, destroying our land resources. There, you will not show power. Some of you, and I'm not saying all, are complicit, and we've seen the videos in the past, from Axim to other places. This country makes no sense. The very people who are complaining about the rot will be put in the cooler. And the big man, the big woman behind Galamsey, the Fourth Estate, recently put out those details. You know them, but you will never go to them, no, because they are untouchables, sacred cows. And that is why our country. So there you have it, 39 of them in the cooler, remanded, police and prison custody. This we know how to do. If we had treated the fight against Galamsey with the same effort, the same, speed, the same alacrity as we are dealing with these 39 people, Galamsey would have ended by now. Next slide. Now, if you go to the next slide, key groups leading the anti-Galamsey protests. You have Democracy Hub. Right now, I guess all of them are, you know where. Arusha, Ghana has waded into this conversation. Environmental groups from Eco-Conscious Group and all of that. Now, organized labor. But I guess Yentiobia is the song of the day. Next slide. But from today, Friday, heading into Monday, you would actually notice that 3 days are left to the deadline for government to act. And what are some of the things these people are calling for? If you notice the strength of organized labor, and sometimes we don't know how strong we are. They say not just women. Sometimes people are like tea bags. Until you put them in hot water, you don't know how strong they are. And I think that is where we are as Ghanaians, because the peace we enjoy, we seem to be taking for granted. And we think, look, we are destroying everything. We are destroying everything. And once our environment goes, we will not remain. We'll be gone too. It's like that saying, when the last tree dies, the last man dies. And our forest cover is being lost at a rapacious rate. And people will sit down and instead of thinking, they want to do MPP, NDC. Etowa, those chiefs in those regions who are doing, and these people have said this about us, and come and do this, and come and do that. Okay, the Galamsey is slowly creeping. Someday you see the water you drink. If you look at the progress on labor's demands, it's only the bit about deploying some police and military that you can give a check on. Only that. All the others, declaring a state of emergency. Halt all mining near forest reserves and water bodies. I'm sure if we checked on Akunta mining, I don't know. Tano. Evacuate miners from forest and water areas. Revoke LI 2462, one of the most, let me swallow that word, one of the most mind-boggling LIs, allowing us to go into forest reserves. Any serious country, already you are facing the ravages of Galamsey. Now you say, oh, you can even enter forest reserves. Hey! The words that are coming, I'm intentionally swallowing them. That's why I'm pausing, because if I say them, but I'll keep it there. Establish special courts for Galamsey cases. This is crucial. It is. And we must fast track it. And then bans on small scale mining. I know this is a thorny subject, but I feel if we have to have a general ban, not for long. and then streamline, use geospatial or whatever data and ensure that now we are monitoring effectively and you are doing the right thing, because we've known that some of these small-scale miners themselves, who are not illegal miners, but just small-scale miners, have also got themselves mired in practices that are not environmentally friendly. How difficult is that? We did it under COVID. We're not saying do it forever, so that we can sanitize the system. But I guess interests are at play. Now, if you come to the next slide, it is this man who actually started using the word Galam state, like a narco state. So we've become a Galam state. He says Ghana has now been characterized as a Galam state. He describes Ghana as a Galam state owing to state actors' failure to effectively tackle illegal mining. So BBC say CIS, oh, Galamsey, oh, we've done our best, we've done our best. It's like that student who says, I put in the highest effort, and so Wanyashe, 0. Akukoti. Me try a pound. President Akufo-Addo, you put your presidency on the line. Professor Enin is calling Ghana a Galam state. So Galam stop meant nothing. That will be on your conscience, Mr. President. Next slide. In a Galam state, there is a perfect blend between criminally minded politicians. Pay attention. Criminally minded politicians and politically minded criminal gangs. I like the way he puts it. Creating a hybrid form of governance. This is not EV and normal. It is not electric vehicle using electricity. No, it is criminals and politicians working hand in glove to destroy what belongs to you and to me, to us. And some of you will sit down and be writing tosh, rigmarole, nonsense, because you think, I belong to that side. Why is the gentleman talking like this? It is not in favor of my side. The environment, it doesn't know NPP and NDC. The water bodies, they don't know NPP and NDC. In fact, if our water gets polluted to the point, as some are saying, where it's even impossible to drink it, when you fetch that water, go and tell the water, oh, maybe your NPP new, so don't contain heavy metals. Why? Next slide. In such a scenario, as Professor Enin goes on, the traditional rule of the state to arrest, investigate, prosecute, adjudicate cases of accused persons, and incarcerate or find them, which are key ingredients to the state's resilience, are not present. Is that not what we are seeing? How many members of the ruling administration have we not heard of? Of course, they will be cleared in the name of due process. Our environment too, due process, it is getting there. It will get uninhabitable for us very soon. And when it gets there, let someone come and cry. Next slide. And maybe finally, for Professor Enin, Ghana has reached the stage where the next stage, note, the next stage, where the consolidation of the Galam state would be the forming of mafia criminal gangs. But let's keep playing the ostrich. Let's keep doing this, oh, we are dancing to the tune of the music. Very soon there will be no music. You see how you will dance. Look, I know some of you are watching me, you are cursing me, you are saying all kinds of tosh about me. I don't care a hoot. I don't give a about your thoughts, because I know I'm saying the right thing, and I know I'm passionate about the right thing. You can be there and put on your political lenses and say whatever tosh you like. It's your problem. But when the consequences come, I will feel it too. And that is why I will not sit down. You can bundle an old grandmother, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, and all of that, and say, oh, we didn't arrest this one. We didn't. You can't deal with the criminals. That one, you don't know how to deal with it. And that is part of why we shouldn't have a president appointing an IGP. That is part of why the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission's work should be taken seriously. In no serious country will we be doing what we keep doing in Ghana. Senseless. Can't you see? Should we wait till we get there? Oh, let me do my last slide, my last 2 or so slides and get out of here. 3 slides, actually. 3 slides to go. And the Galamsey I'm talking about, here are the consequences. Behold, the consequences of Galamsey. If you look at the year-on-year export value, and this is from the Ghana Statistical Service recently, the year-on-year export value of cocoa beans it has dropped by 26.9% in quarter 2 of 2024. 26.9%, almost a third. 5th consecutive drop in the last 5 quarters. So if you look at it, quarter 4 2022, 123.5%. Now look at all of the others. They are drops. Quarter 1 2023, 74.3% from 123%. That's a drop of about what? 50% plus. It went into negative. Quarter 2 2023. It slid to the worst, minus 57.6%. 2023 third quarter. It gets worse. It came up a bit here, 15.10, minus 15.10%, and then minus 24.7%. Now, quarter 2 of 2024, minus 26.9%. And we are standing. We are watching. If you watch. Next slide. And then you look at the fact that between quarters 1 and 2 of 2024, export value of cocoa beans, the export value has declined by 4 billion Ghana cedis. 4 billion, there you have it. 5.16 billion in quarter 1, quarter 2, 1.15 billion. Look at the gap. Look at the difference. The difference, 4.01 billion Ghana cedis. All these things, some of us show them to you so that we realize what is going on and start reaching out. We've been growing cocoa, benefiting from it for how long now? Look at where we are. So because of a little gold, we are destroying everything. And our main cash crop is also going down the drain. And let's do the final slide, because in the midst of all of this, we continue to bleed money. The Trafigura issue is what I'm talking about. And I'll not delve too much into it because today I want to focus more on Galamsey. But you see, these judgment debts, I keep saying, sometimes they are routes that people use to enrich themselves. Not just now. And that is why public procurement and all of those things must be remedied, because one of the breeding grounds of corruption in this country, public procurement. And sometimes, intentionally, judgment debts are brought to bear. And when payments are made, some individuals benefit to the detriment of us, a tax kitty. So this Trafigura issue, the latest one we have, but it has petitioned the finance minister or ministry over the $134 million judgment debt and have threatened to subpoena more US-based corporations with ties to Ghana. The latest we've heard, South Africa and some of our property there. I've seen that statement from the finance ministry saying, oh, it has cited this in the media and that it is fulfilling its obligations, financial obligations towards the group. We hope so. We hope so. But you see, as I always say, time will always tell. You can say whatever you want, but eventually the flow of time will either vindicate or expose you. Ghana, for this is where I'm going to sew it up. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and as always, I say it as it is. Raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. We must know the truth, and the truth will set us free. Thank you for watching.
In today's Constituency Watch, we are reaching you from Chibi, which is right there for a Fie in the eastern region. This town in Ghana's political history has a lot of stories to be told. And here, ahead of the 2024 elections, we are in the constituency to speak to constituents to find out from them the issues on top of their list, what they expect the incoming government as well as their parliamentarians to do for them in this constituency. Here on the street of Chibi, there are a lot of youth who walk down the street and complain about issues such as youth unemployment and others. I have caught up with two gentlemen here who are also going to share with us their concerns they expect the politicians to address in the lead up to the 2024 elections. So I have with me Christopher, who is on my right. So what are your issues?
Well, there are many issues at hand now, but I only just on three. Okay. What are we expecting any of the government that will come into power to do is I want any government who want to come to the power to be able to make sure that our road networks are very, very good. Okay. Because I'm from Kumasi and I'm here and I'm taking my NSS here.
I'm staying at Chibi here, but the new area is called Eskem, so we are nearby Chibi. Our roads are poor. Even we can't get access. Maybe when it rains, the big people have shops around, so they will bring their goods there. The car cannot come, so they have to pack it down, and we will load it, carrying it to the shop. It's one of the concerns, and also unemployment. Unemployment is also one of the big issues around here. People graduate and they don't get access to any work to do. They have to go to Galamsey and all that. Then people are chasing them, people are dying. So unemployment also is. And also one concern is about water. We have a very, very bad condition of water. We don't get good access of water to drink, water to cook. So these are my three issues that I want the government to get access to it, so that you will solve it for us, so that we can be free and vote for.
So you are looking forward to any of the political parties to tell you how they are going to solve these issues?
Yes, please. I'm looking forward for them to say it in their manifesto and give us the outline if they are going to solve it within this way before they come to power. That's my really concern.
So you are not strongly behind MPP or NDC?
Nah. I'm looking at the issues for now.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Felix. We are grateful for your time. This is the main market of Chibi, and the women here have some concerns they expect the politicians to address going into the 2024 elections. What are these issues? Come with me as we speak to a few of them to understand what really their concerns are.
Washroom. Oma ye de ba yentumi bia no man enti ye ha we di kan e washroom. Ena na ye gate nyen so ba erade adom oma ye gate amaye. Enti yesre omo outside no. So mo mredwom ha enti de mo ba na ma nipa ni nyina betuma ba na edwane tumi akoso. Bebre wo mu fie ni bebre enti ma ade to ne ntumi nkọ wano
ye dwan won anhye ne yie ene ye dwada o enso ba wu ne sen ti ye hia wo bia wo betwi nipa no nyina bedwa yim ne dwa no aye dwa obi ba wo se ne dwada we die eno ane sen ye tetem ebiti akire sebita fra toilet wa no bi to yan de o enye fine ti ye pani obeba obeka se ne ma nyina ma yen ye se de ntare ye papa obi e ti lole kwa ho na oton ade
ye dra for na ye wa ha no anse na ebe ye pepa bia no ai se kokofo dua enso ya te se DBL for edi machines bibia be guche bia enso be si na o ma si som sambos nyina aye de enim se DBL no abaya ni enso be si na DBL no ema ye be pepa bia ai se kokofo dua enti ensa so ankola no so no enti bebre no registration driver license ni ade no bebre omonye o ma nyen so approach be chi won enti ye be say machines no da be gu ano egu dem o sei enti o mra no mabie no munya dwuma man e wo Chebi se Chebi ye important ya kase ana say income tax so no ai so mu fiko fodo no wo betwa man wa
nyafo so bia ati na ado kuro mu na onye bidi na o ka se bia na ado ni kuro mu adwo be de mi hu ni sa me sora no pa na man kwa dwuma mi ni di
se wa ye mu kwan fefefe asphalt
baba de kwan ye kwan yo o Ghana de aye den de kure Ghana de aye den
ene ka pass yentimi nto ene ka tai home use no e da che kwan na train na ene engine se ya wuntimi nto ene ka insurance ewu a almost 700.
So apart from drivers and students, those who are engaged in things like you see also have concerns about the quality of water they use to prepare these kinds of food. And so they are appealing to the politicians who will be coming to them to ensure that they come with specific plans to address the concerns of residents of Chibi. That is what will inform their vote.
The higher pie in Su no in Su on say like say a Juma Semonson so wedding waha. So Eddie pa and then your man's wedding a bread say why have you mammy? Why mother wedding uni to be new money at the Adika crowd baby. Can be a bit mad I and obedience when the sky there Aquanano.
In December I'll vote based on what they would want to do for me. One, I prefer we don't have any company here, government work that can employ those people around here. So if they can in some way give us a company that can employ a lot of guys here. And second, we need a market, a very big marketplace. Our market is very small.
There are two people vying for the sole seat from the MPP side and also from the NDC side. I'm fortunate to be joined by the aspirant on the ticket of the NPP, who is here with me. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself so we get to know him better. Give us your name and tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, the parliamentary candidate for Akwatia South, and also doubles as the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat's registrar. Kingsley is well defined by the constituents as education man. Right from KG1 to P3, we have what we call the Kingsley Readathon. It's a reading series that is done annually. From P4 to P6, you have the Kingsley Spelling Challenge. JHS1 to JHS3, you have the Kingsley Math and Science Quiz. At the high school, you have the Kingsley Debate Series, Kingsley Mentorship Programs, and Kingsley Football Gala Competition. Okay. So anywhere within the educational value chain, we are well positioned. Okay. Kingsley is education within the constituency, and the constituency is education. The challenges of this constituency is no different from what we have in Ghana. So we have 5 thematic areas that has been our area of focus right from Kingsley as an individual before Kingsley became a parliamentary candidate. Something we call the WESH agenda. So on the issue of welfare, W stands for welfare. How do we build a welfare, show our people up to make them very competitive, traders on all the identifier groups. These are people that we have their data and we interact with them on daily basis. Then we have education. I've enumerated to you the educational program, the soft ones. The hard ones, we've built 6-unit classroom block at Siakwa, another 3-unit classroom block at Apapem. So that is education. They have agriculture. Ask anybody in Chibi and its environs the price of maize. Through our community farming projects, whereas a bag of 120 kilograms of maize sells on the market at between 800 and 1,000 Ghana, we are giving it to our people at 300 Ghana. Agriculture, which has found expression in the lives of the people. Because within 10 towns that we piloted this project, we found out that Kenke sellers were about 170, which means that the delicacy is well patronaged by our people. This is what we call the soil to stomach project under my agriculture initiative. Then from agriculture, we come to social engagement. You find Kingsley everywhere. There's nowhere within the 110 polling stations, 24 electoral areas, that you will not find the blueprints of Kingsley engaging socially. Then the issue of health, representing H. Free medical screening, free public health week celebrations, free health card registrations and stuff like that. So who in his reasonable mind will ever even contemplate as to whether Kingsley is well celebrated within the constituency, whether it's well known or not?
You see, there is a trend in Ghana now that anyone who wants to be a member of parliament or wants to hold in a political office will strategically a year or 6 months before, start doing some charity works, giving out books, doing health screening for people, sharing food and all those things. And all of a sudden, the person posters appears and start canvassing for votes and all that. But Carlos, I mean, in my own small way, I have been doing a lot for my people. And I don't believe in this flaunting of, because that is not the reason why I do those things. I do those things out of my heart, out of the love I have for my people. If you go to Bomponson Abisim Yaboa, they don't have potable waters there. With my initiative, I was able to help them with mechanized bore waters and all that. There are people that I help them pay their school fees when they are going to SHS. Every year, I support people. There are people who come with their health needs that I support them. Carlos, am I supposed to come and exhibit this openly to tell everybody that, oh, this is what Akins is doing for his people? No, I'm not interested in showing those things off. My focus now is the challenges that we are facing as a constituency. How do we fix them? And if you will be able to fix them, you need capacity. What is that capacity? As a member of parliament, you'll be the #1 lobbyist for your constituency. You have the capacity to go in and out to make sure that these basic needs of your people are being settled. And that is what I'm looking forward in doing.
From where they are as a political party within the constituency, it will take you turning yourself into another being for that to happen. Yes, that will, no way. JB Dankwa seat, Nanado Dankwa Kufuadu seat, Atachian seat, and all the inroads that have made us an individual within the constituency, all my social investments here, he should come and tell us what he's done. He should come and tell us what he will do. We are not going to do we will. We are. And we'll be building on these foundations that we have laid. There is no way my younger brother Akins, I mean, if not for political trying to deepen democracy, he knows very well, their party people know, this is not the place they would have even filed a candidate. What will happen on 7th December, it will not be an election, it will be an endorsement.
Oh, okay. You are sure about that?
But I had 95%.
That's at your party level?
It will find expression.
So you are looking at what margin?
Oh, it will be a pleasant surprise.
You know, let's go into the Bible. The flag bearer, he likes quoting Bibles, even though he quotes them very wrongly. You know, when David decided to fight with Goliath, what did Goliath do? He underestimated, but before he realized, he was on the ground. So I think he should humble himself and take lessons from such things that has happened in the world before. I would want to say something in P. Man, yeah, no jina ho ni so jina ho na wanye den wan hwe. He shouldn't think that he's already in parliament, because I'm going to pull a big surprise on him. I will give him a run for his money. That one I can assure him of. He can't bet it anywhere. He's not going to have it rosy. We are going to deliver our people from misery. It's no more going to be the usual changing of candidates to deceive our people. And now, 2024 elections, whether he likes it or not, I am going to win as parliamentary, as a member of parliament for Akwatia South, and I'm going to deliver a Akwatia South constituency for my presidential candidate, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. There is no two ways about that. You see, we are looking at my margin. I'm looking at winning the constituency with about 52%. Yes, from my research, from my analysis, I'm going to win with 52% from the constituency.
As for what the opponent is saying, I think they have run out of ideas. He knows very well that within this constituency, there is no way he will make an impact. Watch and see. Come by 12 p.m., 7th December. You see the vote. From the
Oforepenimfie here in Chibi, in the Eastern region, this has been the constituency watch for the Akwatia South constituency. With me, Carlos.
Indeed, we are your election headquarters, and with the general election just 71 days away, the race for The parliamentary seat in Akwatia South is intensifying as voters voice concerns over the severe water crisis worsened by illegal mining and the growing issue of youth unemployment. Both the NDC and NPP candidates have locked horns in a fierce contest, each vying to prove they can deliver the solutions the constituency urgently needs. And today we want to expand on constituency lens and bring a conversation between the NPP candidates and the NDC candidate. The reason this is important is because it's an NPP, known to be an NPP stronghold, from JB Dankwa to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo when he stepped down to focus on his presidential bid in 2008. Then Samuel Atachi won that bid. In fact, Atu Akins is in the studio with me this morning. Addo Akins, Nana Addo Akins, and your father, Nana Addo Akins, contested against Atachi in 2008?
He contested against Akufo-Addo himself.
Okay. And so you want to take over what your father couldn't do, huh?
Yes, it's going to happen.
Well, welcome to the program. We'll get into it. And in a bit, we'll introduce Dr. Kingsley Ajiman from the NPP side. He'll join us via Zoom, and then we can get the conversation going. But let me start with you, Addo Akins, since you are here in the studio with me. Now, before we get surgical with the issues that have come up, we know that this place is an NDC, NPP stronghold. From 1996, they have been the ones on that seat. What really is inspiring your confidence that you can take over from the NPP?
Thank you very much, my sister, and I'm glad to be on the show. I want to extend my regards to the good people of Akwatia South, my able constituency executives and branch members in the constituency. There is something that I want to correct before we move on. Dr. JB Dankwa never won in Akwatia.
Okay.
It never happened. Kwame Nkrumah beat him in Akwatia, right in Chibi. So that one I was.
But Nana Addo Dankwa was there. Atachi was there.
Nana Addo Dankwa was there from
Great. Let's move on.
1996, and Atachi came and all that. It's not just about confidence; it's about reality. There are times that reality really hits people right on their faces, and they have no other option than choose right, to do what is right. From 1996, we've given the parliamentary seat to the NPP. There is nothing they can talk about. You heard our people talking when they were complaining about bad road networks, when they were complaining about lack of potable water, when they were complaining about unemployment and all that. Your people were there, and I was not too happy because what they went to do was just in Chibi. They should have extended to the other parts of the constituency, and the whole of Ghana would have been in shock to see how the Akwatia South that Nana Akufo-Addo, Atachi.
So your assessment of the work NPP has done since 1990. Hold on a second, let me put this in perspective. So your assessment of the work that the NPP has done in that constituency, Akwatia South constituency, is?
To be very frank and honest with you, nothing is there to show. Nothing. I can tell you that from 1996 or from 92, if you should go to Akwatia South and go into the history of every developmental project that is there, it is associated with the NDC.
Now, so if the people of Akwatia South share the same opinion, how come they still keep giving the mandates to the NPP to lead them?
You know,
what do you think is the explanation?
We had a situation in Akwatia South when we thought that one of our own was supposed to be president. So we were pushing him to be president. And then we are going to make Akwatia South a safe haven somewhere in Ghana. And that doesn't happen. And Akwatia South, the people of Akwatia South are so disappointed. And that is why they are going to change from the NPP to the NDC now, because they have realized that the NDC is a better option to the NPP.
And it's taking them this long to realize that. But you know what Samuel Atachi said, I think earlier this year, he was asked about who could replace him. When he stated that he was not going to go back to Parliament. He spoke about character and integrity. Let me just quote what he said. He said, "Character and integrity for me are more important than eloquence. Are you a person of integrity? Can people trust you? Where is your money coming from? If you are morally crippled, how can you rise and walk? There's nothing as important as a person's character. All other aspects can be outsourced. How to dress well, improve your vocabulary, all that is not important. What you can't buy is character, and it's superior to everything. Are you that person Samuel Atacha is talking about? Before we get into the conversation.
I mean, 100%, 100%. But
you have character and integrity.
It's out there. Everybody knows me for that.
Right. So the people are talking about youth unemployment, clean water, access to clean water, immediate job placement. Someone also talked about markets because they say the markets there is small. So briefly, outline your immediate steps or your vision to address these challenges for the people of Akwatia South.
You see, I don't want to isolate my vision from that of our party's vision, because most of the things that we want to do, in fact, our manifesto is one of the most decentralized manifestos in the history of Ghana, that we are going to have the Women's Bank. What is the Women's Bank going to do? What it's going to do is to give monies or loans, interest-free loans, to market women so that they can trade well, they can improve upon their trade and all that. If you are going to give loans to people to trade, you need to give them markets, you need to give them the infrastructure to be able to operate so that they can even get the loans that they have come for and pay back so other people will get. So of course, immediately we are going to ensure that we expand the market. There is a problem of land at that particular area that they are talking about. So we are going to make sure that we construct other markets or in other localities in the constituency, ensure that these women have access to these loans, interest-free loans, so that they can expand their business and prosper. So for the market issue, that is how we are going to go about it.
Okay, so you want to construct a market and then feed into the Women's Development Bank agenda from the NDC's overall manifesto. Okay, hold for me. Let me usher in Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, who is the parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the NPP, into the conversation. Doctor, welcome to the program. You're on the AM show.
Thank you. Good morning to your listeners.
Good morning.
Apologies, I couldn't make it to the studio.
Okay, great. So I listened to you in that package that Carlos Kaloni brought us. You mentioned some 5-step agenda. Elaborate on it. Really, is that the solution that the people of Akwatia constituency need? What is this 5-step agenda?
Absolutely. So the WESH agenda, W means welfare. I mean, what is politics if it is not yet towards the development of our people? So anything that we need to do to make ourselves accessible to the people, that is our welfare plan. And under the welfare plan, you have the identifiable groups, the market women, the lorry state people, and any that have some form of welfare through that identifiable. The E stands for education. I mean, constituency has known as a job knowledge. We will have espoused that throughout post of independence, before independence. So even before becoming parliamentary, we have programs that run the fund, for which my very young that whole household beneficiaries. So from base 1 to basic 3, we have to take with us.
Dr. Ajiman, your line is breaking. Reposition and let's do this again. But I want to add a follow-up question quickly, and then we can put all things in perspective. Your opponent here in the studio, yes, but hold on. Your opponent here in the studio with us, Adolescent, has expressed some confidence in securing the win for NDC by 52%. We know that historically it's an NPP stronghold. What do you think makes you a stronger candidate, and why should the people believe in you to lead them?
That the NDC will win by 52% in Akwatia South.
Yes, that's what he said. What advantage do you have over him?
Let's interrogate the data. But it's quite interesting. I mean, for the past 4 elections, on the average, the NDC does about 20%. So what has changed within 4 years that he could probably think of making 52%? I think it's even enough that
he believes that
anyway,
since 1996 that the NPP has been the ones occupying that seat. You haven't done much. In fact, he said nothing at all. And so the people are now asking for change.
Okay, so out of our five thematic areas, I've mentioned welfare. I'm now moving to education, which is the E. From basic 1 to basic 3, we have the Kingsley Readathon. This is a reading series to expose the people to wealth identification. Because, you know, essentially, our curriculum is about read, write, and understand. From basic 4 to 6, we have English spelling pattern. Still improving on the articulation, anything that has to do with the English. Now, at THS, we have a math science that we interrogate them, quiz them on basic science. You know, science is famous.
Dr. Akins, it's still a bit difficult to hear you. Let's try one more time. You have to.
I'm difficult now. So my apologies. Am I audible now?
Not really, but let's try again. I think I'll have to come. I'll circle back to you. Maybe you can try and find a better spot so we can have clarity on your submission. So, Adolescent,
yes,
you talked about constructing a market, Women's Development Bank, but one key issue that I want to highlight on, which is also, I mean, a big issue in the country overall, is water. Your constituents or your potential, possibly, if they give you the nod in December 7th, are saying that they don't have access to clean water. What is your vision to change that narrative?
Before I come on that, my good brother was talking about data. Just 2020 election, our presidential candidate, John Mahama, had 50% of Akufo-Addo's vote. Nana Akufo-Addo had 21,000. John Mahama had over 10,000 votes. So if that could be achieved, what makes him think that within a matter of 4 years, I, as a parliamentary candidate, the work I have done in terms of making our people understand that politics is not merely about partisan affiliations, but then we are into politics to bring development and improvement. And for that matter, if we are not seeing that improvement and development, there is no need then to follow a political party. What do you think of that? I am going to give him a shock of his life. Let's put that one aside.
Well, let's talk about your constituents. Yeah. The question about water, access to clean water, because of illegal mining activities, which is something that, in fact, the entire country is grappling with as we speak. What is your vision here?
You see, our vision is very clear. One, we are going to make sure that the main problem of this water issue is because of the Galamsey, as you stated. John Mahama constructed the biggest water supply or tank in Chibi that was supplying us water. And this Galamsey issue came in, and this water plant have to be shut down. What we are going to do is to make sure that this Galamsey thing stops.
So you're going to stop Galamsey?
We are not going to stop Galamsey. No, Galamsey is an illegal miner.
Yes,
we are going to stop illegal mining. We are going to make sure that whoever is mining is doing what is legal, what is accepted, that we are going to accept. We are not going to accept anything that is going to bring destruction to our water bodies and cocoa farms and forests.
Point made. The question is how?
How
are you going to stop illegal mining activities? As a country, we haven't figured that out yet. But what are you doing differently?
We are going to be very honest about this fight. We are not going to be very hypocritical like our brothers and fathers.
I want actionable steps quickly, and then I have to go back to...
What we are going to do is that we are going to have a management team that is going to make sure that whoever is mining, whatever the person is doing, is it legal? We are not going to get army officers, parade them around, and they will rather even go around taking goods and helping them to mine, protecting my Galamseyers to mine and all that. No,
okay.
We are going to
management team,
an effective management team of our mining sector who is going to ensure that things are done properly.
Good. So, Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, 3 main issues that came out from interaction with your constituents. They talked about road networks and markets, unemployment, but I want to focus on the water situation. they don't have access to clean water because of illegal mining activities. How do you intend to fix this problem?
Okay, thanks for having me back. Just a quick correction to the data that my good friend mentioned. John Mahama did not get over 10,000 votes. No, you can fast check the 2020 election in the Akwatia South. He did not make 10,000. Anyway, so water is a problem worldwide. As we are moving towards climate change, these are some of the fallouts of climate change. So as clearly stated in our manifesto, His Excellency, our flag bearer, intends to use geophysics in turning out how we do our mining. This is part of the bold solutions that we have proposed to the Ghanaian people. You realize that issue of mining, whether small scale, illegal, I don't even want to talk about, but before they get to where the deposit is, they cause a lot of distraction. That is why this kind of drip geophysics is the way to go. Very, very scientific, so that we don't cause much damage to the environment. Having said that, I mean, we are the first government to implement 10 million trees under the Green Ghana agenda. That every June and July we plant trees. This is a way to correct it. Correction of the environment, afforestation and stuff like that. And you can go back to Forestry Commission to check the number of trees that we have planted for the past 8 years. So these are some of the things that we are doing on my own or at my own constituency level. If I was on video, you'd have realized that we are even doing tree planting. This tree planting is even happening in his hometown as of right now, as I speak with you. So these are some of the initiatives. Yes, the ravaging effect of Galamsey is something that has assumed national and international proportions. We have had our own bad things that have happened to us as a result of the Galamsey, and we are working on it as a constituency. Okay.
So that's on the access to clean water and dealing with illegal mining activities.
Yes.
The last point we want to focus on now is the issue of the road networks. I know you mentioned briefly, you talked about DRIP, but I'll circle back to you. Hold on a second. We have just about 4 minutes to wrap this up. Adolescent, how are you going to expand or fix the deplorable roads in your constituency?
Of course, as the member of parliament coming 2025, I'm going to be the chief lobbyist for the constituency.
Members of parliament will tell you that they are not the ones in charge of constructing roads for their constituents.
No one have said they are. What we are saying is that they sit in a house where the number of roads that's going to be constructed is being approved. So they have the capacity, they have the power, they have the links to make sure that if we come to parliament that we are going to construct 100,000 kilometers of road this year and it's factored in the budget, I, as a member of parliament for Akwatia South, needs to lobby and make sure that Akwatia South gets their share of that kilometers of roads to my people. That is all we are talking about.
Basically, you're putting a request in for your constituency to be considered, but you know it could be rejected.
It's not going to be a request. It's going to be a demand of our part of the national cake. And that is how we are going to face it aggressively to bring development to our people. Again, I want to conclude by saying, he was talking about the number of trees MPP is planting and all that. My sister, the mayhem in terms of afforestation that the MPP and their chronics
afforestation?
In fact, of deforestation have committed on this land, it will take us more than 50 years to get all those trees back. So the number of trees they claim they are planting is nothing compared to the number of trees they have brought down because of Galamsey through their likes like Wuntumi and other people.
Okay, so you are going to lobby, demand that your constituency gets the fair share of the national cake. We know how small the national cake is, but Dr. Ajiman, what about you? How do you intend to fix the deplorable roads or expand the road network in Akwatia South constituency?
So back to it, the roads are under construction. As I speak with you now, his hometown, Asafo, through Muary to Old Town, is being tarred. And for the first time,
oh my goodness,
ever since Nkroso Town came to be, This is the first time we are doing a third road there. There has never been any road. Yesterday, under the drip program, between Odumase and Kwesi Komfo, all the drip machinery went there yesterday, and they've started work. So the point I'm going to make is that all the things that he wishes to do are being done. All the things that he wishes to do. As if it was an O-level question, the way he's approaching governance.
So you are just latching on to the DRIP initiative to fix the deplorable roads? Okay.
Yes.
Point
and
made.
we started. Between Odumase
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajiman.
It was inaugurated there.
To wrap this up, I want to ask you first, and then I'll come to you. You have to hold your horses for me. Do you have the endorsement of your father, Nana Addo Kings, the same man who ran against you said Nana Akufo-Addo and Atachia and lost.
Yes.
So he's giving you some bits on how you can win where he didn't?
Unfortunately, he's late.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That is fine. But I want to say this, my sister. It is insulting and it is highly unacceptable that we have 70 days to elections. You bring machines, come and parade them around, they are coming to construct roads. It is totally insulting to the intelligence of the people of the Akwatia South. And this must not be accepted.
These are your final words, so make it count.
And we, the people of the Akwatia South, feel very insulted by that act. He shouldn't even have mentioned it here. For 8 years in government.
Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, what would be your final words? And do you have the endorsement of Samuel Atachia?
Absolutely. So I mean, it's rather unfortunate that they want to limit it to terms. Governance is continuous. My sister, governance is continuous. And is it suggesting for a woman that, okay, let's do this analogy. A woman gets pregnant for 9 months, but delivers on a day. Just a day. So 70, 20, even 2 hours, the people must have what is due them. So I'm appealing to the good people of Akwatia South, as we always reject the NDC, we will continue to reject them even this election. And he knows very well that if not for the purpose of developing the frontiers of democracy, the NDC would not have filed a candidate in the Akwatia South.
And that there is Dr. Kingsley Ajiman running for the seat, the parliamentary seat for Akwatia South constituency on the ticket of the NPP. And in the studio with me, we had Nana Addo Kings, who's also running for that same seat on the tickets of the NDC. My apologies and sympathies for
one second.
mentioning your dad. Yeah.
About the data that Mahama
Yes,
did not
I actually saw that it is Mahama won by 10,100 and something. I'm looking at it right now. So yes, that's clarified.
And that is going to be
and that's how we are wrapping up on this belt of conversation. We'll bring you more on the AM show. Don't go away. I'll be right back. I'm still serving you cocktail for breakfast on this Friday morning, and it's time now for us to focus on our health. Now, this Sunday, on the 29th of September 2024, would mark World Heart Day, a global initiative aimed at raising awareness about cardiovascular health, especially at a time when non-communicable diseases is on the rise globally. I'm joined in the studio by Dr. Jacqueline Thompson, who is a family physician and the Greater Accra Regional Focal Person for Non-Communicable Diseases. Doctor, good morning, and it's such a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
You're very pretty. No, I had to say it. I was stealing glances at you when you came to the back room there. Right. So let's talk about World Heart Day. What is the significance of this day, and why should we be observing or paying attention to it here in Ghana?
Okay, so World Heart Day is a day that is set aside to create awareness about the fact that we need to have our hearts to be healthy. Because globally it's been found out that about half of all deaths in adults is due to cardiovascular diseases, which includes, which includes diseases that directly affect the heart, as well as strokes, diseases such as hypertension and its complications, diabetes, kidney diseases, etc. So we realize also that in our part of the world, the prevalence or the incidence of this disease is on the rise. So it's important that we make people aware of what is happening and then put in measures to curtail the issue.
Then can you give us an overview of the current state of cardiovascular health in Ghana? Are we seeing an increase? Is there a steady rise? What's happening in terms of cardiovascular health?
Yes, so for cardiovascular disease, we are seeing just like it's the same picture, there's a reflection in our country. A study that was done recently at the National Cardiothoracic Center at Kolebu Teaching Hospital found out that about 60% of deaths are due to these cardiovascular diseases. So I think earlier this year, there's been few publicity, media interviews that I've granted, other people have granted, and we are talking about these NCDs. So as we commemorate the World Heart Day, it's another opportunity to make people aware that this is what is happening and we need to do something about it really quickly.
Okay, so in the spirit of creating awareness, let's do some education. What are the risk factors or the primary risk factors for heart diseases that Ghanaians should be aware of?
Okay, so top of the list is hypertension. So hypertension is also known as high blood pressure or known in Twi as moja mroso.
Okay.
So there are a lot of people, a lot of Ghanaians who have high blood pressure, some of who are aware. They are aware, and then some of them are controlling it very well. Others are aware, but they are not taking their medication and not practicing the lifestyle changes that they are supposed to do to control it. And then we also have diabetes, mellitus, high cholesterol, and then we also have obesity, which are mainly the risk factors for this disease. Also, we have genetic factors, and then also being male is one of the risk factors.
Being male?
Yes.
So just by being male?
Yes.
You stand a chance of
developing cardiovascular disease. Other risk factors are high stress.
I want to stay there a little bit because I'm curious. What's the explanation for that? For male, being male as a risk factor, but female is not a risk factor.
So with some of these things, it's just that they are, it's just that you are male. So these are what we call the risk factors that you can't do much about. Okay. So over the years, it's been studied, and then it's been found out that males are more predisposed to cardiovascular disease. I'm sure it's got to do with their genetic makeup, and also with the fact that probably they are more, how should I say it, aggressive, okay, or they are more stressed out. They have a lot of responsibilities on their heads. And then also, maybe we could also say that their health-seeking behavior is not as good as females. Yeah. So those are a few of those things that may explain why.
And we understand that lifestyle and dieting can help in terms of prevention and managing these diseases. So how can we individuals balance traditional diets and lifestyle with modern recommendation for heart health?
Okay, so most of the recommendations are talking about Western foods. You look at it and they're talking about you eating things like fruits like strawberries, blueberries, and then they explain that these are the benefits and things like that. But recently, there are books that have been written and certain guidelines that help us to be able to know that if you eat kontomire, if you eat the local vegetables and fruits that we have, it will help, in managing this condition. So we know that there are certain class of foods that are carbohydrates, certain class of foods that are proteins, vegetables, minerals, and vitamins. So it's just about knowing the kinds of foods in which class, which you should stay away from or eat more of, then you will be able to modify it. So we usually would educate the patients on what we have in our setting.
Okay, Ghana. You mentioned green leafy vegetables.
Yes.
When I was a child, I remember that when they say they were not medical experts, but they'll do this and then say you need blood, and then they'll blend Abedru.
Yes.
You know, is that healthy? Does that actually help
Yes,
with
it
your
does.
cardiovascular health?
Yes, it does. It helps, especially with anemia. The English name for Abedru is actually turkey berries.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yes, because it has so many local names, Kosusua, and all sorts of things.
Turkey berries.
Turkey
now
berries.
I won't forget that.
Yes. So yes, so eating what we have, the green leafy vegetables, knowing that you should get some proteins from vegetables as well, staying away from too much meat and other things. So when you meet your health provider, they are able to go down into details to educate you on what to do.
Okay.
Yes.
So aside lifestyle and dieting, in terms of policy, right? What are the steps being taken at policy level to address the growing burden of cardiovascular diseases in Ghana?
Okay, so over the years, we've had to adopt or come up with guidelines which has got to do with physical inactivity guidelines. So this physical inactivity says that we need to be physically active. How much physical activity do we need as people to be able to help prevent or treat these cardiovascular diseases? We say that exercise 30 minutes 5 times a week.
Yeah.
That's about getting a minimum of 150 minutes of exercise. I've spoken about that in the previous times where I've been here. And also leaning to the fact that now any activity is better than inactivity. Okay, and then we also
so
have...
it could be just walking some 5,000 steps a day. It could be just skipping in your room somewhere.
Yes.
Just once you're moving your body,
yes.
you're okay.
Yes, so you're sitting less and then you're moving more. Okay, so we also have the hypertension guidelines, which shows us at which point in time we should start medication, at what point in time lifestyle should be used to treat, and then etc. We also have the cardiovascular disease guidelines, which was launched a couple of years ago, which directs us as healthcare providers what to do for each patient at what point in time. So nationally, doctors and other healthcare providers were trained in order to be able to use these. So these are the few things. And also we've also come up with wellness clinics, which are supposed to help to educate on prevention and also conduct screening for these diseases. So nationwide, we have adopted these.
How's the implementation of these initiatives going? Are there any challenges there that, you know, we should be looking at addressing?
Yes, so with regards to challenges, the challenges have got to do with the acceptance. Because, you know, for example, a disease like hypertension, you can't see it. Okay, and so some people are walking around with very high blood pressure, as high as 180/110, 200, 150, etc., and they don't understand why they should do something about it. And also the health screening practice is not part of our culture. So trying to tell people to go to the hospital when they are not sick is quite difficult, because usually they want to have some symptoms that will probably break them down, especially for our male, you know, counterparts. So it's quite difficult in having to do that. Even telling them that go for things that are free, it's quite difficult. Recently, a study that was done for coastline hypertension in the fisher folk, many of them went for the screening, but then when they were referred to go to the hospital, their attendance was very poor.
Could it be a matter of finances?
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I was discussing with one of my colleagues yesterday, that it all boils down to poverty. So if that aspect of their life is not, you know, dealt with, they need food to eat, and then you're telling me I should go and spend hours at the hospital. I'd rather go and work. Hypertension is your disease you're telling me I have. I mean, so yes, poverty, I think, is the baseline for all this. If we are able to tackle that aspect, which is not going to be easy, then we'll be able to educate them to help them to understand better.
But while we work to, you know, eradicate poverty, is there something we can do to gradually shift the mindset of I need to be visibly sick before I go to the hospital? How do we change that mindset?
Okay, so I think that it's got to do with liaising with people in the community, so that you know that it's got to do with your peer, someone, because if it's an outsider, supposing I go to a community and go and talk to them about it. They're like, okay, you are sitting up there, you are a doctor, you are this and that, you think that it's saying for us. But then if there's someone who is their peer in their community is able to identify better with them, then they will be able to probably accept it more. And then it's also got to us, to do with us, you know, pushing more. I keep saying that if I talk to 100 people and even 2 people accept it, if they start practicing it, whatever it is that is working for them and other people see it, then they'll be able to know that, okay, if I do A, B, C, I'll get results X, Y, Z. And then it will help. So it's a gradual process, but we need to keep at it. We shouldn't give up because eventually we should be able to get there.
And this helps, you know, public education, awareness creation. So we should take advantage of that. So for those at home watching us, what immediate steps or what 3 key steps can you give them as a way of reducing their risk of heart diseases?
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to start from prevention. So prevention has got to do with adopting a healthy lifestyle. So a healthy lifestyle has got to eating healthy. Okay, so eating healthy and then engaging in physical activity, walk, skip, jump, move, lift weights, whatever it is that is comfortable for you. And then keep moving. Don't sit for long hours because sitting for long hours has been found to be as bad as smoking cigarettes.
You don't say?
Yes. So move more and then sit less.
I'm struggling to actually reconcile that.
Yes. So for people who sit more, studies have been done to show that the diseases that a smoker is predisposed to is an equivalent of what someone who sits for long hours is also predisposed to. So it says that sitting is the new smoking. So you don't have to light a cigarette and put it to your mouth. You just sit for long hours and then you are exposed. And then also the third thing I'd say is that if you have diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, take your medication, do what you've been advised to do by your healthcare provider, take it seriously, and then you should be able to avert all the complications of cardiovascular disease.
I've learned something really interesting from you today. So basically your 3 points, eat healthy, exercise regularly, and if you stand a risk, listen to your healthcare advisors.
Exactly.
As we observe World Heart Day, what would be your final word or main message, or just a wrap of your thoughts regarding heart health, and then we can go.
Okay, so the heart is the engine of the body, and it's very important that we take good care of it. The heart is the organ that has been beating since you were in your mother's womb. So it's very important that we really take care of our hearts so that it can last us a lifetime.
And that there is Dr. Jacqueline Thompson, who is a family physician and the Greater Accra Regional Focal Person for Non-Communicable Diseases, shedding light on World Heart Day and how we can stay safe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll return with more on the AM show. Don't go away. Now, the International Day for Universal Access to Information is celebrated annually on the 28th of September to underscore the critical role of information access in promoting inclusive and democratic societies. This year, a global conference will be held at the Alisa Hotel in Accra from the 1st to the 2nd of October 2024, focusing on mainstreaming access to information in the public sector. And it is organized by the government of Ghana in collaboration with UNESCO. And this event, the highlight of it, we're about to get into a conversation of that. But the conference is a collaboration between government of Ghana, UNESCO, RTI Commission, and the Ministry of Information. Vivian Tete is a general manager at RTI, Right to Information. Welcome to the program, Vivian.
Thank you.
So what's the International Day for Universal Access to Information, and why is it significant that we celebrate it here in Ghana?
Thank you. And good morning to your viewers. So in 2015, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed that 28th September be set aside to celebrate International Day for Universal Access to Information. And then again in 2019, they made the same proclamation. Then from there, every year, 28 September, they will celebrate that. The day is usually marked with a lot of advocacy. So in Ghana, over the years, since the implementation of the Act in Ghana, every year we celebrate the day prior to the 28th. We have a lot of sensitizations going on. So
like
we'll go on, yes. So we'll go on radio, we'll go on TV, we'll go to markets, places, we go to churches, mosques, and then we do sensitization. So a lot of advocacy. And then we mark the 28th day with a conference. This year, we are fortunate that the Ghana government is collaborating with UNESCO to hold an international conference to mark the day in Ghana.
Okay.
28th is tomorrow.
Yes.
So it's a Saturday. We cannot hold the program. So in that way, we are going to have the program, the international conference, on the 1st and then the 2nd of October.
Yeah. So it's a 2-day conference.
Yes.
What's the theme for this year?
This year, we are focusing on mainstreaming access to information and participation by public sector. Mainstreaming because we want to make access to information a culture for public sector employees or public sector workers, so that those who hold information or those who hold public sector positions would make it a culture, part of them. Maybe it should even be an indicator when measuring them. So it becomes a culture that they easily or they proactively disclose information before it even, if someone requests for it or asks for that information.
How would you say the RTI law, how is it helping access to information in Ghana specifically? We hear reports that there aren't even enough personnel, RTI personnel in the various institutions to facilitate the requests that's coming on a daily basis. How are we faring?
I would say Ghana, we have come far, and that is why we even got the bid to host this international conference. We've come far. It is true we don't have enough right to information officers, but regardless of having right to information officers or not, an institution must designate somebody to be the one who takes charge of that position to give information or to help the person access information. So I wouldn't say we don't have many information officers. You can even be an information officer for Joy or multimedia. Right?
Okay.
Yes, so you can be.
Right. So let's talk about this 2-day conference. Who can participate? Where is it happening? The time? Let's get all the details out there.
So for this year, the program is going to happen at Alisa Hotel, and it's a 2-day conference. We are expecting about 300 participants.
Okay.
And these participants, we are expecting our own president, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, to be there. The Honorable Minister for Information, that is Honorable Fatimatu Abubakar, will also be there to give a speech. And then we are expecting a number of ministers of information from various countries in Africa and then around the world to be there. We've also invited quite a few CSOs to also be there because they also are into right to information, actually. And then a few media people.
So it's not open to the public?
It is not open to the public because this is an international conference and we cannot have everybody coming there. As I mentioned early on, we would usually invite everybody, public sector officers, office holders to be there. But this year it's an international conference, so they cannot be there. However, they can follow the Ministry of Information, UNESCO, Right to Information, social media handles, and then we'll be streaming live mostly on the Facebook channel. So that is how everyone can participate.
Right before we go, what role are these key institutions playing? We know Government of Ghana, of course, they've won the bid to host this international conference. UNESCO, RTI, and MOI, what key roles are they playing in this conference? And then we can wrap up.
So UNESCO is giving us the platform. So they give us the platform and the frame to have discussions on access to information law. So that's what they are doing. And then MOI, RTI, we are also supporting. So I'm here in the name of Right to Information Commission. We are also supporting. So that is what. And then for most of the panel discussion that will be going on, most of them would also be coming from these groups of people that we have mentioned.
Okay. So right before we go, what key information or takeaway do you want our audience to remember from this conversation about the conference?
Yes, so I would want to say that information is power. And I am sure that today, as we sit here, what Galamsey is what is the ish. Yes. And then I cannot believe that nothing is going on. Maybe the government is coming up with something, but because we have not been made aware of, then there will be rumor, there will be labor agitations, and these people are going on strike and all of that. So for public sector office holders, what I would say today is that they should disclose information proactively. Even they should not wait for people to come and ask for information before. So if government is doing something about, say, Galamsey, we should hear something so that all these agitations would minimize or stop. For the populace, I would say that right to information has come. It's a right, a fundamental human right. We need to enjoy it, and we need to ask for information so that we are empowered, and then we can also join in the governance of our country.
Thank you so much. And that there is Vivian Tete, General Manager, Tribunal at RTI Commission, representing Government of Ghana, UNESCO, RTI, and the Ministry of Information, giving us information on the International Day for Universal Access to Information, which will be celebrated or marked on the 1st and 2nd of October at the Alisa Hotel. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Right. So there's still a lot more coming your way on the AM show. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Now let's talk about the International Conference on Energy and Engineering. From the University of Energy and Natural Resources, we have Reverend Professor Engineer Eric Ofosu-Entry in the studio with us to put things in perspective. Welcome to the program, Reverend.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Can you provide an overview of the International Conference on Energy and Engineering and its key objectives?
Okay, so the International Conference on Energy and Engineering is the first time we're holding it. It's a joint conference between the School of Engineering and School of Energy at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. Okay. And this year, the theme is Engineering Advances in the Energy Transition Space.
Engineering Advances
in the energy transition space. Innovation, inclusion, and impact. So what we intend to showcase is to look at how engineering has been able to support the global shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy technologies. Okay.
Okay. And why is this important?
Yeah, it's important because of the era we find ourselves in, climate change. We have emitted too many greenhouse gases, which are impacting the climate at the moment and creating a lot of impact. And now we have to make sure that we reduce the emission. And that is why we are all driving towards the reduction in fossil fuels, because fossil fuels gives out the carbon dioxide, and the CO2 emissions are the ones that are increasing the greenhouse gases. But then if we can shift from the fossil fuels to renewable energy technologies, then we will be able to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions.
See, another reason why this is important is when I was growing up, I kept hearing greenhouse effects, you know, ozone layer depletion. I thought it was so far-fetched. And here we are in this 2024, and climate change is actually whipping us on the back.
Very true.
Yeah, so what specific topics will be discussed in this conference?
So in this conference, we're looking at areas like energy sustainability, renewable energy technologies, energy efficiency, sustainable oil and gas management, energy finance, and then also we're looking at smart grids. And nuclear energy. And
we understand that Regional Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability has some contributions as well.
Yes.
Tell us more.
So the Regional Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability, where I'm the director, is an African center of excellence, and we actually serve these two schools in terms of graduate programs. So we host graduate programs, Masters in Energy, Masters in Environment, and then PhD as well. And at the moment, we've turned out over 83 PhD students in terms of...
83?
Yes. And
impressive number.
And 180 master students from 13 African countries.
In the space of how many years?
In the space of 4 years.
That's impressive. So can you highlight any innovative solutions or research outcomes that will be presented at the conference?
Yes, so we're looking at renewable energy technologies, the new emerging technologies in wind, in hydro, and in solar.
These are things that have already been done that will be showcased.
Yeah, we want to showcase that, okay, these are the new emerging technologies that is happening all over the world, and the ones that we are also trying to bring on board within Ghana, and then advances in smart grids. You see, one of the challenges that we have is that the grids we have are more connected to conventional energy sources. But then if you want to introduce renewable energy technologies, okay, for example, you have solar in your house and you want to integrate it into the grid, we need smart grids to be able to synchronize it and give communication between the energy supplier and the customer. Okay, so these smart grids, the AI technologies that we need to be able to upscale renewable energy technologies within Africa are the ones we are talking about, that we need to showcase them. And then also advances in energy storage. Okay, there are emerging technologies, next generation of energy storage is very critical. Then we're looking at hydrogen. Green hydrogen is very prominent now. Now we're producing hydrogen vehicles. Apart from the e-vehicles that we've heard a lot, hydrogen vehicles are also on the block.
Okay.
Okay, vehicles that use hydrogen. Okay, we have natural gas in.
Do we have some here?
I have not seen that yet, but when you go for exhibitions, energy exhibitions all over the world, hydrogen vehicles are being introduced very much. And it's one of the things that we could also produce, promote in Ghana, because we have natural gas. Okay, it's about splitting the natural gas into hydrogen and then the CO2. You capture the CO2 and then you use the hydrogen. Okay. That is what we call blue hydrogen. And then we also have the green hydrogen, where you split water into hydrogen and oxygen using electrolysis. But then it is green hydrogen because you are using renewable energy to produce the electricity that does the electrolysis.
If I leave, you will not finish here today. But I mean, the beauty of conferences like these is that we are proffering solutions. Sure. So the question then is, how do the results or these proposed solutions that would emerge from this conference feed into policy? Because if it's not a policy and we don't actually implement it, then we are not making any headway. Yeah. How do you intend to feed these solutions, proposed solutions, into policy?
So that is exactly why we are organizing this conference. We bring in together industry leaders, we bring in researchers, we bring in policy advisors and policymakers into one room for discussion. Then they'll listen to these presentations and then we'll dialogue. At the end of the day, there should be a communique. And then also we intend to take the participants to Bui Power, their plant, their plant in Bui. I think it's one of the leading renewable energy industry in Africa. Okay, where you have 5 megawatts floating solar PV, then you have 50 megawatts solar, then you have this 400 megawatts hydro plant. And they are using this also to produce sugar cane and other things. There's a combination of a mix of energy sources. And we believe that we can learn a lot from this that Bui Power is doing. And then we, the industry, what we are doing now is that we're collaborating with these researchers and industry. So we get topics from them and then we research into it to solve the industrial challenges. Okay,
so let's talk about the details of the conference. Where is it happening? When is it happening? Who's invited? And all the nitty-gritty in terms of information that you want our audience.
So the conference is taking place from Monday next week, 30th to Friday.
Okay.
We have invited speakers from across the world.
So it's a week-long conference?
It's a week-long conference at the University of Energy and Natural Resources.
Okay.
It's being hosted by the Regional Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability. We have a very modern facility that is hosting this conference. We have keynote speakers from professors across the world. And then we have the ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, the Executive Director, ECRI for sure. They handle renewable energy across West Africa. Their executive director is coming to speak on it. Then the board chairman of We Power is also there.
So who's invited?
Please,
is
everyone.
It open for the
it's
public?
Open for the
okay.
public.
All right,
it's
great.
Open.
Well, what will be your final word before we go?
Yeah, we believe that we have trained a lot of engineers, and we are doing a lot in the energy space. We want to create more opportunities to be able to advance renewable energy technologies. And this is the conference that will give you all the information you're looking for in the advancement towards energy transition space in Ghana. Please
Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best. Just starting on Monday to Friday, that is the 30th. It's a week-long activities, exhibition showing what renewable energy is and how we can change the status quo of our lives here in Ghana in terms of climate change. Reverend Professor Engineer Eric Ofosu Entry is the Director for the Regional Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, and they're the ones spearheading this week-long conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. For our final belt of conversations, the UMAT Robotics team is making waves in the oil and gas industry by spearheading innovative automation solutions for drilling operations. I mean, it's implied in the name, Robotics. Recently, they showcased their cutting-edge advancement at the 2024 Robotics competition, where they secured top honors in directional drilling and placed second in well control. The team joins me in the studio this morning to have a conversation. And we have with me in the studio this morning, Aaron, Joel, and Lancelot. Did I get your names right?
Yes.
Well, welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Joel. Can you briefly give us an overview of the robotics competition for viewers who are not familiar with it?
Okay, so thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. And the robotics competition is basically a global event that is organized to accelerate the uptake of automation in the oil and gas industry. So basically what happens is that it gives students the opportunity to solve doubting challenges that the oil and gas industry is facing. And by so doing, students have been able to come up with innovative automated solutions that has helped improve drilling operations. And
you came second?
Yes, we came
in the robotics competition?
Yes, so basically, as opposed to last year we were only participating from the directional drilling category.
Okay.
But this year we decided to expand the operations of the team. So this year we also have a new division, which is the well control team, as part of the operations of the team.
Okay, so Aaron, tell me more about the various stages of the competition and what you did to emerge in second place.
All right, fine. Thank you. So the competition is usually in two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 is where you do your research and present your results and your findings and what you want to do in phase 2. You send it to the judges, and if they're okay with that, then you proceed to the phase 2.
Okay.
So in the phase 1, that's where we did our research, and like my colleague said, we were in two categories, well control and directional drilling. I was in the well control division, they were in the directional drilling operation.
Okay.
And he was leading us all. So what we did was like, we looked at the problem, what we were supposed to do. We presented our findings to the judges, and like they were impressed with what we were supposed to do. So like we were given the chance to move on to the phase 2, and that's where the final testing.
Is it a hands-on activity where you actually have to drill?
All right, fine. So there's a physical category, Group A and Group B. So the Group A is where they do the physical risks, and Group B is where they do like the software aspect. So we were more in depth with the software aspect. So our products were like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lancelot, how has the entire experience been for you? And this isn't the first time you're here, right? And since, not you in person, but this is not the first time we're talking about robotics, have you had any supporters yet? First, tell me about your experience as well, Lancelot.
Well, for me, the experience has been great. I mean, having to work with
my colleague from different departments. I'm from the petroleum department.
Okay.
But then my other colleagues, we have some from computer science, geology, having to work with them, come up with these innovative ideas, and then doing all that along with academic activities and also project work and all. It's been great. I mean, it was difficult for the start, but then along the way, I learned to bring all that teamwork and then innovation and everything together.
Okay. Joel, I'm back to you. How has this competition impacted your life at UMatt, or even in terms of the broader community in the school? How has it impacted you?
Yeah, so in beginning the competition, I didn't really project that the competition will create an avenue where we can expand drilling activities on campus. And so currently what is happening right now is that we've created a drilling club, and with the drilling club, the major aim is to build expertise in the drilling industry as well as equip students with entrepreneurial skills. So as part of the drilling club, we teach you how to pitch, how to design your business model, just to help you. So even we have startups. We have a startup that is currently in the process of emerging. And in the next 5 years, we are projecting to have about 3 startups.
Are you going to commercialize this, Joel, Aaron?
Yeah.
Do you intend to commercialize what you've been able to design?
Yeah, that is the plan, if the industry is ready to receive us.
If the industry, are you reaching out to any brands to help you? I mean, how's the support like? Do you have a lot of support coming in? Because this is something that a lot of Ghanaians are not familiar with. So how are they receiving this? When you go somewhere and you say you won a robotics competition, what do they say?
Yeah, that's very true. But like in our setting, like the industry in Ghana is not like more open to this as like when it comes to outside.
Yeah.
So even though they are always impressed with us when we say like we've won robotics, in robotics we do this and that, we use computer to do that and that. They like it, but so far we've not gotten any company or industry that has reached out to us saying that like maybe they want to help us or sponsor us in doing this. But in the directional category, we use the Halliburton iCruise model. Like
the what?
Like it's a model that Halliburton, which is like it's a company that is into drilling.
Okay.
Yeah. So we model that kind of RSS, which is used for the drilling. So the robotics organizers, one of them gave us a contact to somebody at iCruise, and he got in contact with us. So we've been in talking terms with him, and we hope to find something good out of it.
I wish you the very best. Lancelot, take us home. What will be your final? What message do you want the world to know about you today? All 3 of you.
All right. I mean, since the competition started, it's not so popular like some of the major competitions that we've been having or even hearing of on TV.
Yeah.
But it's a global competition, so it's quite significant. But then when you come here, it's not so obvious. But then we are hoping that the world would truly know that we are also here, and then we are doing the best. I mean, we top up in a global competition, and then we need the support of especially the industry to come in and then also support.
Yes.
And then, yeah.
Thank you so much for all that you're doing. I don't think it's easy to be you. I mean, when Aaron was talking about some ATR, I was lost for a second there. But congratulations on winning 2nd place. And hopefully we can see more of your work, and it can help to change the status quo in the country. And this is Joel, Aaron, and Lancelot for UMatt. And they are the winners from the robotics competition. And they are here to tell you, Ghanaians and our lovely viewers, that we are also competing on the global stage. And that is how we're wrapping up for the AM show, this Friday edition. So it's a wrap for the entire week. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akako. For now, it's bye.